Good evening and welcome to the August 6, 2026 meeting of the Town of Southampton Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held live and also via video conferencing on the Town Clerk's page on the Town of Southampton website. For those of you online who wish to view tonight's live meeting only and not participate, please do not join the Zoom meeting. If you are having difficulties accessing the hearing, in either case, visit the Town Clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. With that, I'd like you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you are here with us tonight in person, please silence your cell phones and refrain from speaking to one another as it interferes with the recording of our proceedings. In case of an emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases across the hall, continue downstairs and out through the main entrance. Do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevators, and restrooms are located across the hall from this room. Tonight, board members Bob Macedonia and John Rebhen are absent. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking other than attorneys will be sworn in, state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. In order to consider properly every application before us tonight, individuals commenting on a particular application have a time limit of 3 minutes. I want to emphasize that we welcome comments but must adhere to the time limit in order to accommodate all interested in speaking on any particular application this evening. Written comments are also welcome. Please address those comments to members of the board and send via email, mail, and/or drop off at the town hall to the board secretary, Candace Cowell, in the building department. At this time, I'd like a motion to approve our minutes of the July 16, 2026 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald, I'm used to Julie saying second.
I know, it's
Mr.
too
McDonald.
confusing.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay. John, you want to take us through the agenda?
Yes, turning to number 7 on the agenda, application of 2297 Montauk LLC, 2297 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-86-1-3. I move to adjourn the continued hearing on this application to November 19th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 8 on the agenda, application of John T. Montecalvo, 1129, 1089, and 1169 Spionk Riverhead Road, Remsenburg, Spionk, Suffolk County Tax Map numbers 900-301-2-6, 7, and 8. I move to adjourn the continued hearing on this application to November 19th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 11 on the agenda, application of Caleb Kircheval, 4098 Noyak Road, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-18-1-50.8. I move to adjourn the continued hearing on this application to October 15th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
On the decision calendar, the decision in the application of Beatrice Knox Stern Kaplan, 58 Hampton Court, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-51-2-54. I move to reopen the hearing on this application for written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I move to close the hearing on Beatrice Knox Stern Kaplan for decision later tonight.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I move to adjourn the decision in the application of 19 Bay Drive LLC, 19 Bay Drive, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-269-1-46 to August 20th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I move to adjourn the decision in the application of Carter and Sloan Simpson, 28 Robbins Lane, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-62-1-11 to August 20th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I move to adjourn the decision in the application of Alex Demaran Demir Revocable Trust, 61423, 31 Marin Pasture Road, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-293-3-12 to August 20th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
And finally, I move to adjourn the decision in the application of David Dunaway, 149 Big Fresh Pond, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-94-3-26.2 to August 20th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, number 1 on the agenda, application of 162 Jobs Lane LLC, 321 Rose Hill Road, Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-115-3-14.3. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for proposed tennis court. 1, Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations. 4, an accessory distance from front lot line setback from 90 feet to 70 feet, and an accessory side yard setback from 30 feet to 10 feet. And 2, Section 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and Section 330-83C, yards, to allow the tennis court to be located within the required side yard for the principal building and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Mr. Benacasa?
Sure. Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant. Good evening. As Mr. Leonard mentioned, the relief requested is 20 feet for a tennis court at a front yard setback of 70, where 90 is required, and 20 feet for a tennis court at a side yard setback of 10, where 30 is required. What I would note, just looking at this property, is that adjacent to the property to, I guess it would be the north, is a flag strip that services the lot behind it, which is owned by my client. So the resulting tennis court would effectively be 30 feet, which is the side yard setback set under zoning from the nearest, practically speaking, the nearest parcel, that being the parcel to the north, if you're including the flag. I'll go through the 5-part test. We can talk about the property. Will there be an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood? No, as you can imagine, this neighborhood has many homes with tennis courts. And the tennis court, as I mentioned, will be separated from the closest properties, improved property or livable property by that 30-foot setback, which is required under zoning. The benefit to the applicant cannot be feasibly achieved by any other member. Now, the room towards the back of the property if you put it towards the back of the property, it really eats up the entirety of that rear yard, as discussed, as noted. And in addition, there is a wetland encroachment in the property to the north. And we are trying to keep,
Explain that, please. What do you mean, a wetlands?
the property to the north has wetlands. So the further south on the property the structures are, the better. Now, we have non-jurisdiction letters for the existing, under construction structure. And I would note the home that's there is currently under construction. I believe windows are in, roofs are on, and it's framed, but it is not completed.
Look, can we stay on this one? Because, I mean, I'm sympathetic to your argument about the flag lot effectively giving you the additional 30 feet, so I appreciate that clarification. But it just strikes me this is a question of preference over, I mean, if you just move the tennis court back 20 feet, you're asking only for one variance, and you just explained it better than the one you're trying to explain.
Explain what?
Well, that 70 feet versus 90 feet, all you need to do is move it back 20 feet, and we're only talking about one minor variance that you've reasonably just explained. I'm just sort of cutting to the chase. You can go through the 5 factors,
Sure.
but I still think that's the issue, right?
No, I understand. I think when you're looking at feasibility, and this is always sort of the trickiest prong, it's not just can it be placed somewhere else, but can the applicant's objective be achieved? And there's a case, Baker versus Bromley out of Shelter Island, that shed some light on this, and that essentially is saying that it's not just can you put it somewhere else, but can his idea and goal for the property be achieved without this relief? And again, the goal is to sort of create a backyard that is not totally encompassed by these structures. So I think when assessing feasibility, it's important to understand that.
It's 20, we're talking about 20 feet.
I understand, Kevin.
Okay, keep going. It's your time. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Carl.
So I would just like a clarification on the wetlands issue.
Yeah, me too.
So, because it's not identified on the survey, has this been flagged? Do we
It's
know where
currently
the confines are? Where are they?
They have been flagged. It's not, the wetlands are not on this property.
Okay,
So they're not shown on this survey.
okay.
But the,
I can speak to the wetlands a little bit here.
you know a little bit about them?
Yes.
This was
because
at McCully's until 2 days
this
ago,
was-
so this is one of those.
We did a subdivision of this property, so these two properties are part of the subdivision. The planning board, as the approving authority, was the wetlands board, so we issued the appropriate wetlands permit for the property that sits on the water, and the back property's out of the jurisdiction. Or we issued whatever approvals were necessary as part of the subdivision, just so the board knows.
So if
They're
the,
not, I don't know that, they have to go back to the environment.
We are, we're
one
back there.
clarification, if it's not under the jurisdiction of the Conservation Board wetlands.
We're waiting on the non-jurisdiction letter.
Oh, okay.
That's been submitted.
But assuming that it isn't, then there's no argument about
Is that
pushing
the
it
wetland we're
back
talking
further
about?
towards the rear property line on the basis of.
Because there are no wetlands restrictions.
Because there are no wetlands restrictions. So that eliminates.
Well,
what?
but it, not necessarily. It
Okay.
creates a jurisdictional issue then.
That's right.
If it does get closer, so it could.
So is there
What is that-
200
what is
feet?
that?
Isn't it
What-
200
what would
feet
be the
or something?
Jurisdiction.
200 feet.
The 200 feet.
That's right.
And do you know where that 200 feet lands?
Where the 200-foot setback is on, it's not shown on this survey. Do you recall where it landed?
I probably have a subdivision map that shows.
We had to go to, the property is within the 200 feet. We had to go to,
Big house in the between.
Yes, no, I understand. I've been
Okay.
there. I've seen the facility, yeah. But go ahead.
we had to go, we are before, like I said, environmental, asking for a letter of non-jurisdiction. So they will tell us whether or not it's within the
Okay.
jurisdiction.
All right. So it hasn't been determined yet?
No, that's still outstanding.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Carl. Finish up, and then we can ask our questions.
Sure. The variance request is not substantial. The setback from the nearest property line when considering the flag, as I noted, meets that 30 feet. I think that is compliant with the expectations under zoning. The court is proposed to be sunken, and of course, any buffering this board might consider would be, or might prefer, would be looked upon favorably by the applicant, or openly by the applicant. It maximizes, as I mentioned, I know the board has discussed whether or not they feel it's compelling, but I'll note again, it does maximize distance from the wetlands in consideration of the jurisdiction of the Environmental Division. As I mentioned, the applicant has been submitted for a letter of non-jurisdiction, which is still outstanding, but we do expect it soon. The site inspection has been completed by the Environmental Division, and that's forthcoming. There is some relief that this board has granted in the area and in the town that's relevant. A sports court at 108 Parish Pond was granted with 30 by 80-foot sunken sports court. 10 feet was granted where 30 feet is required. That was given in consideration of a wetland setback. 347 Butter Lane, 60 by 120 tennis court. This was before this board was requiring the reduced size in courts. I would note this is 55 by 105. Side yard setback of 16.6 where 30 is required. 318 Mitchell Lane, tennis court 55 by 115. Setback of 26 where 30 is required. 32 West Pond, setback of 59 where 70 is required. And 82 Trees Lane, setback of 15 where 30 is required. Now, those are just a few examples of relief granted in the neighborhood. There is a neighbor here with concerns. He's represented by my good friend and colleague, Mr. Bregman. So I'm sure you'll be eager to hear what he has to say. I have discussed possible concessions with Mr. Bregman. I think he discussed them with his client. I can't speak for what their position is on those.
Okay, that's the end of your, all right. Kevin, this is yours. You can take the lead, but I do have some questions as well, so.
I mean, I'll just reiterate real quickly, our job is to hear your best case and then minimize the amount of variance that one can reasonably anticipate should be minimized. And we're talking about east and west 20 feet, which is half the variance that you're asking for, that can be better ameliorated by just moving the tennis court back further to the back of the property. So that's one.
For the front yard setback.
I'm sorry, yes, but moving it to the back. And then, obviously, we haven't gotten into the details of, what the planting plan looked like and the screening and all that, but I understand your point about you want to put it down 4 feet. But I just think this is a question of notwithstanding your Shelter Island reference. A preference of location rather than a particularly difficult site that can't be met, that you can't meet generally, some other reasonably suitable location. And I'll defer to my colleagues for any other questions.
Yeah, well, I was going to pick up on that. I did go to see the site. And I can see why you want it to be 70 feet, but as Kevin said, we're here to grant the minimal amount of variance relief that would be necessary in order to meet your objective to have a tennis court. And so I'm a little concerned about the 70 feet as well. I don't know if anybody else wants to comment.
I think it would help for us to see where the 200-foot
Yes,
line of demarcation
absolutely.
is to determine exactly what kind of buffer there is.
Leeway we
What
have,
leeway
yeah.
you actually have.
If you want to wait and see what the
Well,
with the
clearly, we're not going to.
Environmental division.
Yes, right. We're not going to make any decisions until we get that anyhow, but it would be very helpful to have what John just said, the 200 line, so that we have an appreciation for, does it come
Yeah,
close
it's
to
on
the
the property,
back?
but where on the property?
Yeah, is it on the property? Is it not on the property? So that
Is
would
it
be
a portion
helpful.
of the property?
Right.
Exactly.
I'll defer to my other colleagues, and I'll come back to that, please.
Yeah, I share the concerns that Kevin and Susan are raising. There've been other matters in front of the board, not in the not distant past, where
So-
we ask people to move things,
If the wetland of concern,
preferences, so.
I'm sorry,
Your letter finish.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I thought
Yeah,
you
no,
guys.
I was saying, because I wanted more space in my backyard, and we just said, yeah, but that's not enough of a reason, so.
Right. And it is 100 feet, what you've got now. It would be down to 80 feet in a backyard, so.
If the wetland of concern is between what looks like a portion of the Pentagon and the cove and a wetland. 1/5. Just, right, I said a portion. And the wetland, and you guys, you're doing your project here. You're on real thin ice with that argument. And in the interest of full disclosure.
I appreciate that. So we are waiting again on the
Okay.
environmental, so we'll see what
That's
they,
fine.
I think they will chime in on whether our
Yeah.
concerns are legitimate.
Fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
And this, I'm saying this for no other reason than to explain,
If you need
my
this.
lack of familiarity with that. This was given to me 2 days ago, or yesterday by Mr. McCulley. so-
You're doing fine.
Thank you, Kevin. That's not what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is, I will absolutely get you as much information I have on the wetlands.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
We definitely need that in consideration of what our
Sure.
concerns are about minimizing the variance request. All right, so
There is a
before.
neighbor here, so.
Yes, no, I'm going to get to
Happy to
that.
take that, yep.
Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on 162 Jobs Lane for, that's the owner, for 321 Rose Hill Road? Please come forward. You can sit here or go to the podium. Okay, you're going to split. Carl, do you want to move over?
Yeah, well, you can say.
No, but he's got two of them, so he doesn't want to split up. Okay,
Eric Bregman, 10 Gingerbread Lane, East Hampton. I'm here for Ron Vintner, who is the neighbor to the north.
okay, and are you an attorney?
And this is Mr. Vintner.
Okay, let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Ron Vinder, 315 Rose Hill Road, Watermill, New York.
Okay,
Okay, your last name is Ron, you said Bender?
V-I-N-D-E-R.
V-I-N-D-E-R?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Bregman, do you want to give us your comments?
Sure. Good evening, Madam Chair. What's going on with this application? I know you know it well, but look at the whole. It's 1.6 acres, which is a medium-sized lot nowadays, it's not huge. They want to put a 10,500 square foot home in it, with 15 bedrooms, plus a pool and a separate garage and pool house. And now they want to put a tennis court where they can't without a variance. And simplistically, I think they're trying to put too much cabbage in the kielbasa. I mean, it's just too much. This lot. And what's, I think, very important and very apparent from the timing and the documents is that this was always their goal. They always knew they wanted to have a tennis court here. They applied for a building permit for the house separately, very recently, in May of '25. I'm putting aside the subdivision, which made no mention at all of structures, because they usually don't. There's no mention of the tennis court in the building permit application for the house. They applied to this board for a front yard variance for the house in October of 1925,
And they got it,
and they got it.
right?
No mention, and no mention in your decision, no mention in the application, and obviously not in the decision, of a tennis court. They received the building for the permit for the house in January of this year. In April of this year, they applied for the tennis court. And they applied for the variances here in July 2026, after the construction was begun on the house. So this is leading up to, I think, in this very unusual case, it is not just a question of whether to move the house, but whether to say, hey, make it 13 bedrooms instead of 15, and you can have plenty of room, or 14 or 13.
But we don't have
We
jurisdiction
don't
over
do that.
You can deny
This is an end run to get a smaller approved structure decreased in size.
No, it's not
Let him
gonna-
make-
I know
let
you
him-
can't do that, but you can say, you know, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit, you cannot give them the variances. You don't have to say, well, let me do it if this, but
Clarify for me where your client's property is, please.
No, it's
right here.
next to the driveway.
It's the most
It's a
effective.
30,
Okay.
it's, yeah, okay.
He butts the tennis court, is that?
So there's the flag and then his
may I draw on this, or I'll just?
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
It's right here.
Okay, understood. Got it, thank you.
Okay.
How close is your house to the property line, your property line?
Mr. Vinder just took a picture this afternoon, which he can show you, but I don't have prints.
You
We
don't
can
have-
give you the
okay,
prints.
okay.
But we have it on his phone if you'd like to see it. You can pass
No,
it.
I can see it on the,
Yeah,
we have this
kinda-
picture, I could see it, but I just don't know what the,
Pictures are gonna really give
Well,
us an
this
idea of
picture
how
is
many
terrific.
feet.
I'm sorry.
all right.
Like, if we know how many feet, does he have any idea how many feet?
Yeah, well, you can see the house that is.
This is the house that they're building. This is the other house that they're building.
And that hedge is the property line.
Yeah, okay.
Now, they could simply reduce, if they made it an 8,500 or 9,000 square foot house, they could fit the tennis court without it, you know, without any variance, conforming. So I'm suggesting that you should not condone this overreaching. It's not necessary, and it's not appropriate on this lot. Now, the applicant argues that the tennis court meets 30-foot setback because of the 20-foot driveway, plus the 10 feet they've graciously consented to give. First, this ignores the complete prohibition on the tennis court and the side yard, regardless of setback. They need a variance from that, too. So you don't have to give them the variance, even if it were 30 feet.
Are you talking about the front yard setback?
The location in the side yard.
Location,
Location in the side yard.
30, what is it?
3083
Side
C.
yard setback,
Yeah.
30 to 10, right?
In addition to the setback,
Yeah.
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 Right.
Accessory setback.
And they've asked for it in the
Right.
application.
33076D and 83C.
And
That's in the notice. All right.
Yeah, no,
We're
it's-
asking for that.
to place it in the side yard, you need
I
a
thought you meant we
variance.
weren't asking for that.
No, no, no. You were.
But the point is, it says no, regardless of whether you meet the 30 feet. The purpose of that prohibition was to provide mutual protection for neighbors from the impacts of accessory uses, which is what this is. And moreover, the driveway is not open space and quiet, right? It's used by cars, delivery trucks, maintenance people, as well as family and friends. It imposes its own burden on the neighbor by being there instead of being, for example, in the center of the property or having a, what do you call
But
it?
that's a very common,
Yeah.
that flag lot aspect is very common.
Well, my question would be with regard to that point is, does a tennis court add significantly to the quantum of noise when you do have, as you say, delivery trucks and cars going down that driveway?
Well, that's a good,
Does it
that's a
substantially
That's a
add
smart
to its-
question, and I think the answer is that tennis courts and using it as a driveway often happen at different times. A tennis court can be all day, on some days, can be not at all on other days, and deliveries come and go, but they are with some regularity. So I think the answer is, yes, it is more in the total substance of the noise interference. So the proposal here and the variances are not, I'm going through indirectly the 5 points, all right, are not consistent with a neighborhood where accessory structures generally conform to setbacks or have reasons for it, like wetlands or don't have impacts on their neighbors. And by the way, Shelter Island is quite different. Baker and Brownlee, as our mutual mentor, Tony Soko.
He's not my mentor. No, I'm kidding. I love
Okay. Will say, that case was the applicant wanted a variance for a deck on a waterfront house that looked over the water. And the zoning board said, yeah, you don't need that, you can put it in the back of the house. Right? And the Court of Appeals, or the Appellate Division said, yeah, come on, a deck looking over the water is not the same thing as a deck looking back at your neighbor in the backyard. So what he wanted was his view, and the deck for his view. That's very different than this. This doesn't begin to rise to that level.
Does Mr. Vinder have a tennis court?
Yes.
You do.
You can see it in
But it's in the
the,
middle.
I'm just looking. It's in
the middle of the property.
the middle of the property.
Did you,
Hasn't been used since I've been there.
well, that's a different
Regardless of
story.
whether it was
I know, I'm
used,
just
but you
going-
have one.
yes.
Okay, and also the portion of your home, it looks like your home is kind of U-shaped or horseshoe-shaped. It looks like there's like one front side of it that would be across the flag lot from that, what is in those rooms?
Bedrooms.
Those are bedrooms?
Well, there's bedrooms upstairs and living room downstairs.
Do you have anything to add to Mr.
I
Brackman's?
think he wants to cut. May I?
Go ahead.
1 second, I know you're in a hurry. This is not a question of whether the applicant should have a tennis court. We're talking about where it should be and how it should fit into the rest of the property, so.
Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, so, Carl, it sounds like you haven't had this case for very long, but I'm a little bit concerned about the comment that the application for the variance for the tennis court sort of landed late when other variances were requested, and that feels to me a little bit like the sequential variance add-on stuff that we don't really like. Am I understanding it
I
correctly?
think he's saying it's a self-created hardship. Is that what you're alluding to?
I was saying both. I was saying this is in environmental code segmentation where you separate
that
out.
variance.
There's a few points here. The intent of the code is, this board, I don't need to tell you why you guys exist, but for the record, I will note that it is when the intent of the code can be met in a way that doesn't diminish the protection that it afforded a neighboring parcel, and the benefit to the applicant is tangible. And I've explained why the applicant wants that. I don't think it's been explained why there's a burden on the adjoining property. In fact, if this were put into a conforming location, the court would be closer to his home than the proposed is. So I don't know that it's about the sound from the tennis court. It sounds to me like, as was repeatedly brought up, the concern is about the size of the home, which is not what this board is considering. So if this, I think there is a concern that this property is overdeveloped. It can have a tennis court in a conforming location. I've explained why that doesn't work for the applicant. But it's interesting to me that the neighbor's position is move it to a place that's closer to my home, and the concern is noise. Now, we are willing to discuss ways to mitigate noise, ways to mitigate visual impacts, and I think Mr. Leonard brought up a good point. There'll be an active driveway here in between, so how much are we talking about from noise from a tennis court? Also turning to the intent of the code said we don't want tennis courts within 30 feet of a property line. That's what's happening here. I mean, you cannot consider this flagpole, which my client owns, you can't just discard it. It is actual space, it is actual separation, and this court will be 30 feet from the neighbor's property. I understand your position and by understand I mean I've heard it, your position with respect to the front yard setback. I would note, in part because of the variance already granted, that the tennis court is behind the front of the home. It's not in front of the home from a front yard perspective. The home comes closer to the street. But again, if we were to push it back, we are closer to the space where Mr. Vinter and his family enjoy the property. So I don't know, I am happy to discuss this with my client. We're happy to discuss options that maybe can come to some mutual acceptable position with Mr. Vinter and with this board and with my client. But I need to understand the concerns, because pushing it back is moving it closer to his home. So that's what I don't understand.
That's a conversation you guys have to have.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
more than, we started that.
But-
Again, Eric, I think, got on this 2 days ago. I was on it yesterday. We've already had
So
conversations.
we're looking forward to some very fruitful discussions.
I've never had an
You said
unfruitful
your
discussion.
client owns the flagpole?
Yes.
He owns the back
Yes, he does.
property. What is the
And then
lot
provided
coverage? We don't have,
Well, I had discussed this, and again, this hasn't been discussed with my client, but what I mentioned to Eric was we could buffer this property and the flagpole, and there'd be 2 lines of buffer.
there's no lot coverage information on this survey either, which would be
We
helpful.
can put that on, but
Yeah.
we are not asking for lot
No,
coverage.
no, I understand, just for us to understand.
Sure.
All right, so the way I see it, and we can still ask if there are other people who wish to comment, that you're going to look at the setback, we're gonna get some information from the environmental to see where the 200-foot line is and what any of the other constrictions will be that they put restrictions they put on.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna talk about, with Mr. Bragman and Mr. Vintner, some additional noise reduction things, with 2 buffers, of vegetation. And come and see what we can do, be creative to come back. I do pick up on Julie's point, that it does seem that Mr. Bragman was also making, that, this was like staged, and then we just suddenly, we don't like when people come back and ask us for variances after variances have already been granted. We kind of like to know what the whole game plan is right up front. And so we tend to not look favorably on that, so I'm just giving you a heads up on it.
It's bothering me too,
Yeah.
and maybe there's an explanation, right? Maybe
Yeah.
a light bulb went off and somebody said, oh, tennis court, my kid is suddenly a tennis prodigy, we need this court.
Well, whatever it is, we
Whatever.
don't,
Selling that house, so they
Yeah,
couldn't know
okay,
that.
it's not their kid.
Well, it could, I mean, look, to be honest, it could have been, overlooked in the beginning, and then the thought was, oh, it would be nice to have a tennis court here as well. And I mean, it's not really, look, It's discouraged, variance creep is discouraged. It is not a reason to deny an application in and of itself unless there seems to be a pattern and practice of doing this for purposes of obtaining variances that you wouldn't otherwise be entitled to. So
Well, it
that's
just
where I
gives
fall
us
out on it.
pause.
I don't see any evidence of
That's. I
this
understand-
being
I
a
understand.
premeditated.
I have seen
Can I
no
just say
evidence.
something? So these guys are builders, so the argument of like that they didn't know and all of a sudden thought about that there should be a tennis court here doesn't really seem, and I just want to move it over because there's so much going on this property. And I'm not a lawyer and I don't know half of what you guys are talking about, but the wetlands, there's another house, there's the water, another house, and then this house behind it. So, and that house that's on the water is really close to the wetland. So I can't see how this property has anything to do with the wetlands. And like, I bought this house a couple of years ago, and I've been doing work to the house, but like when they told me we need more grass in between your fence and less grass, sorry, I was like, okay, and I took less grass. Like, I've been conforming to everything, and this has been like one variance after another, and putting a tennis court on this line, feels, too close to the house. And I took this picture to show you where they want to put the tennis court. So whoever's in that bedroom, it's going to be really loud for them.
Okay,
Any other comments? I'm sorry.
all right, one last thing, and I want to ask if anybody else is here.
This is not a question of the size of their house. The reason I mentioned that you could make it an 8 or 9,000 square foot house instead of a 10 or 11 is only that there are solutions, and if they had come up together, those solutions could have been worked out.
And I think that that's what we're picking up on, at least Julie and I, and I'm sure
No,
John as well.
absolutely, but I mean, but it's a far stretch to go from, it could have been done in the variance process that originally happened, to this was all done by design. That's a huge leap for
It is
anyone
a
to
leap.
make, and I haven't heard a single thing from anybody here tonight that would let me make that leap factually. You can say they're builders and that therefore they should have known all along till the cows come home, you can say that, but that does not mean that factually you have presented anything
was
here
trying
today
to.
that would allow us to make that leap. That's all I'm saying.
I was just saying, let's put them
Yeah,
in the
Julie, go
tennis
ahead.
court.
I do find it somewhat compelling, because builders are sophisticated, and if the view is, I bought this property, I'm gonna build, and oh, you know what, I got my variance, and oh, by the way, I'll get better value if I add a tennis court, maybe we need an affidavit from the builders, I don't know, to get me over the line, but it seems to me, I would have an expectation that the builder would have gotten that.
Okay,
And that could be negligence, oversight, or it could be a premeditated plan to hoodwink this board. And I think that given the fact that we have no other evidence, literally no other evidence other than what you've said, which is conclusory, I don't believe that we can make that jump. And I think that for us to, look at this application any differently based on that information would be a disservice.
well, we can agree that perhaps there isn't any factual stuff here, it just sort of sours some people on the application, in particular since there is a conforming location for the tennis court.
But,
And,
the relief granted was not about lot area or lot coverage.
I
It was
understand.
about a front yard setback.
And also, it's located in the side yard.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah, that's
So
three
that's-
It would
variances.
have made sense. I don't know who would advise them to hold off,
Yeah, no,
do
no,
it like this.
no, all right.
And they certainly had professional advice.
Yeah, all right, well, let's see what comes back.
We don't have
We
to.
wanna see
Focus
what
on a
the
solution,
information is.
solution
The
focus.
most
But I
important
just
thing
think-
is gonna
I
be
don't-
where's the wetlands 200-foot
Right,
wet setback? That I think is gonna be the most important thing
Right,
for us
and
right
whether
now.
that, in fact, we can use as an argument to say, push it back further to the backyard. Okay, is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to be heard on 321 Rose Hill Road? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, I guess not. All right, let's move this along, Kevin.
What kind of, wait,
Wait, we have to,
what kind of time do you think you need?
I don't think much at all,
Oh,
like
the-
2 weeks, would you?
but we're gonna hear from the environmental people within 2 weeks?
Well, yeah, we're talking days from now.
Oh, okay.
So should we try
They've
to,
already went out there, so.
should we try to adjourn for
3
9:03?
or
No,
8:20?
8:20.
8:20.
Let's adjourn to 8:20.
8:20?
All
All
right,
right,
so
so
make the
I'll make a motion to adjourn The application of 162 Jobs Lane
That's the owner.
to 820,
Second.
thank you.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Aye. Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Number 2 on the agenda, application of Thomas C. Arms, 188 Maple Lane, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-69-1-17. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed accessory building to be used as a home workshop. 1, Section 330-6 General Regulations that references Section 330-11 Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory side yard setback from 10 feet to 8 feet. And 2, Section 330-84D Pyramid Height for a west sky plane encroachment of 1,280 cubic feet. In addition, applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-11 for an accessory side yard setback from 10 feet to 8.7 feet to legalize the northerly shed accessory storage building that was constructed without the benefit of a building permit on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Sounds good.
Do we have jurisdiction? Okay. Attorneys?
Now,
Okay, so let me swear you in.
okay, Thomas.
No, let me swear you in first, and then you
Okay.
can tell me your name. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please state your name and address.
Thomas Pedrazi, architect, 322 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York.
Okay.
Thomas C. Arms, 188 Maple Lane, Bridgehampton, New York.
Okay. So, Mr. Pedrazi, are you going to be explaining the
I am
application
going
to
to
us?
explain it the best I can.
Okay,
How's that?
okay.
We have, asking for relief for 3 variances. One of the variances, which is the most important to, I think, Thomas, is the workshop, which burned down. It was his father's workshop. His father was an architect. Burned down, and he'd like to replace, he'd like to build it on the existing foundation. The foundation's still there, so.
Is it a slab
No,
or?
there's a full basement, I mean, a storage basement underneath it now.
And that was a workshop, okay.
It was meant to be a garage, and then they turned it into a
My mom's
workshop.
art studio.
Okay.
My mom was a fine artist for,
So we're asking for, the side yard is 10, we're asking for 8. There was a variance back in 1973, ZBA number 3771, that did give us the variance to build it 8 feet from the property line. And what we're requesting there is just to allow us to rebuild it where it is.
With the 8-foot setback.
Setback. Now, I have the plans of that structure here, and it was basically just a simple shed construction for just the purpose of a workshop. Well, since then, Thomas, his mom, who's an artist, has a lot of art that he wants to store in a safe place, so he wanted me to design something that had a second story, 2 floors for storage. So what I did was I showed him a whole bunch of designs that would stay within that pyramid, and it just was not working for storage on the second floor. It would have been sort of a shed roof. It would have been more of a roof that would have really no room to store anything on, the whole west. Let me just get that right. Yeah,
something for
The
work was
west
very
side.
large.
So that was gonna be one of my questions, but we'll get to that.
So, and that brings us to the sky, the encroachment into the sky plane, the pyramid rule. We are asking for relief of 1,280 cubic feet. And that did calculate into the existing structure that burned down. So I am using that roof as, not including that roof that was encroaching into that pyramid.
But you should give us what the full amount of the encroachment is.
I've given you what we're encroaching beyond that, which is
Okay.
1,280. If you look on the section, am I able to get this up?
Yeah, we have copies of it.
I mean, it's just that, would be that little sliver, and obviously whatever the length of that is.
How big are the ceilings? I'm sorry, the
Ceiling height on
ceiling height.
The second floor is 5'9". The first floor is 8 feet,
Okay,
and then we had.
It's 9 feet on the plan.
It says floor to floor is 9 feet,
Yeah.
so the ceiling height is 8 feet. Are you looking for a floor to floor? So it's
No, ceiling height.
ceiling height 8 feet, and then on the second floor, I dropped the plates to 5'9" instead of, a standard 8 foot.
and that's a cathedral ceiling, I'm assuming?
That's a cathedral ceiling. We're gonna try to get as much height in there. We're gonna frame that, a structural ridge, frame that true.
And what's the depth of the basement?
The depth of the basement right now is 7 feet,
And is-
actually 6'9".
I think it's longer, bigger, deeper than that.
Deeper than 6'9"?
Yeah.
Is it flush with is the basement below grade
It's
level?
below grade. We're about 18 inches out of grade.
And is that where the storage had been occurring in the past, in the
Unfortunately, no,
basement?
because nothing could survive down in there.
Okay,
The
does
key,
it take water? or-
Environment destroyed any artwood stored in that space, so it basically is
Basement is
unused.
not an option for storage.
I mean, unless,
I mean,
Is it concrete
it's,
floor or is it?
it's a concrete slab.
Is there a reason you just can't put this in a conforming location and do exactly what you're proposing without
Well,
even coming to us?
we're trying to use the existing,
You just described it on a place no one wants to be. And it's not really working for much storage because of all these horrible things that are there, so why would you want to use it?
that's
Build
for
it
the
on a
basement.
slab next to it, and
and
you
then do what with the original foundation that's
Take
sitting
it
there.
out.
fill it in.
Is there
it in.
Break it
a
up.
cost implication here that you've
Well, but I
considered?
mean,
well, it's not so much a cost, it's sort of what's there now, and we actually did build, because the floor was gone, we did frame that floor just to give it some water tightness. So, and we put, plastic over it, tarp over it, and sort of waterproofed it to that point. We're just waiting for approval to build up from there.
Okay, and
I
Mr.
kind
Arms?
of asked that same question, about moving it more central to the.
When was it
property. All right,
originally built?
Sorry?
When was it originally built?
I've got it,
1968 maybe, or a little after that?
And the artwork that you're talking about that's large, what are we talking about? Like the largest pieces, and are we talking
Well,
about,
her largest piece had a 9-foot wingspan, but
I mean, are there many of those, or
There's
is that
many.
a thing? Okay.
if you like, you can see some of it, and it gives you some dimensions on her website,
Okay.
AnnaleeArms.com.
and she moved from the city,
That's
right?
the other thing, yeah. So in the summertime, she did all her work out here. It was creatures and insects, things that inspired her out here. And then in the wintertime, she worked in the city doing busts and various other things. As she got older, she started doing more etchings. But the amount of sculpture is pretty significant, and the sizes, especially in her younger years, very large.
Okay. We always look at this as, the variances go with the land, not with the people who own the land, because that changes. So, that is a consideration, but it's not our only consideration in terms of granting variances.
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I actually went to this site. I mean, it is very heavily vegetated. There look like there are two rather tall homes on either side. I don't know what their pyramid situation is.
Well, there is a building on the west side that's a two-story building.
Yes.
That is I believe it's an outhouse of some sort, or is,
I don't know what
Well, I
it
hope
is.
it's not an outhouse, huge. I mean, an outhouse in the way I think
There are
about it.
significant
there-
trees in front of that.
there's a lot
There's no
of-
view
Oh,
of my
okay.
yard.
Okay. No, and it kind of goes right up to the property line. I saw that, and that's kind of where part of this shed is like, kind of contiguous to that. So I get that, but, I do really want to push on the question of why can't you locate it more centrally and not be troubled
We
by
have a
all
very
the.
long, narrow property. If we move it into the center, destroys, I mean, like everybody else's view,
Yeah,
is it not the only ones to consider too, I would think.
well, it's a very
Plus, it's
narrow-
already there,
It's
so.
a very narrow piece of property, and it is very heavily vegetated, that's for sure.
If you were only asking to rebuild what you had and you needed pyramid relief to put the same structure back, it'd be a short conversation.
Sure.
It's the second floor, so close to the property line, And not uncommon for, as the chair said, buildings, once there, they just only get bigger over time. And the use changes, that is more permanent. So, we're thinking, you got, this is a fairly large lot. And we're putting this modest-sized shed, or what are you calling it, a studio? And we're doing what we can to get it more conforming.
How much work there is.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I would say. in
How much work there is to what?
that I need to store and be able to get to and curate for
Can
doing shows.
I ask
for
you a
my-
question? Why would you not build next to it? In other words, instead of 2 stories, have 1 story, would just make it bigger?
You mean like a
Yeah,
rail
like a double,
warehouse?
like a
Like a
double,
double-wide trailer.
yeah, like a double wide trailer instead
And
of
not
like
need
one
to
on
Go
top of,
long,
no, either
Go
long or
long
to
or
the
wide.
side.
Yeah.
Into the center of the property.
I mean, it wouldn't take off that much of your property, you'd still have the whole access to the back.
It's not like
and-
it's a 2,000 square foot lot.
And it would be easy access, and you might be able to actually have a ceiling that's, more than 5 foot,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's an interesting idea.
the ceiling height was purely determined upon storing art.
Yeah, okay,
So-
but do you understand what I'm saying? Like, would you take a look at that as an option, instead of having 2 stories, have 1 story and then the next to it,
Or behind it,
or behind it?
contiguous, yeah.
Yeah,
One of the tests that we have to consider is, was there a reasonable alternative to the pyramid request and the height of the building so close to the property line, which induces the pyramid request? And the answer is, there sure is, and we just discussed it.
Well, it's also about sight lines and your neighbors, and nobody has a sight line of that, except for my neighbor to the
no,
west.
we're
We
not
don't know
talking
what's-
about other people looking down your property. I mean, you can't hardly see back there. I mean, come on, there's so much, there's not a problem in terms of sight from a neighbor. We're just trying to come up with a way to like reduce the pyramid
It
relief.
seems like what you would have me do is gonna involve a lot more work than just being able to rebuild on the existing place.
Well, you could rebuild on the existing, put like a slab down next to it and build, instead of the 2nd story, build, I don't know, I don't mean to be designing things for you, but it's
Could
just
do
that.
that, I guess, but.
We're
Yeah, I
asking you to
mean,
be a
how
little
much
more creative with
more
you solving
work-
this problem.
Actually, is it if you can build on the existing slab,
Well,
but
it's like
either
building
push
another
back?
building.
But that's true for the 2nd story, except for there's no
5
additional
feet
slab.
Compared to full height.
Yeah.
I mean, we can
There's
use,
a lot of,
we can use the existing foundation and we can add on to that. We make it a crawl space that, is just attached to it.
We have high confidence that you have the ability to incorporate everything you just heard and come back with something that looks different than what we got and more like something they said.
Your concern is, we're not really talking so much about the 8-foot setback
No.
on the side lot. We're talking about just the height.
The pyramid is
Yeah.
the concern.
This was an artist rendering of it, and you can see that it becomes really sort of silo-esque, where there's no windows on the 2nd floor. It's purely just storage.
I mean, listen, it's cool looking what you're showing us. I think it, however, doesn't answer the question, and I think.
Could it be done somewhere else in another
I
manner?
think that's the sentiment you're hearing. I'm not all the way at no, but I would really like to see an effort to see if there's another way. And by the way, one of the things we look at is if you can come and show a cost estimate that it would be highly problematic to add another slab, to have it be either next to or behind, we would consider
the
that.
type of space that we're talking about and the amount that I would have to come in, if I keep it in that same depth, it would significantly eclipse my backyard.
I mean, if we brought it in 5
The
feet,
problem is that there's a ton of trees along the right side there too. So in order to have a backyard, do I clear the trees too now?
We didn't say put it in the very back and rip everything out along the way, which,
No, but you see what I'm saying, like, one thing moves to another, right? Like, if we make one decision, it affects a bunch of other things, so.
Look, we
well,
don't need to
that's
solve
not,
this.
that's not their job, that's my job. So
That's
I think I understand
Sorry.
what you're saying. The pyramid is just a little bit too much
Right.
to
For a
to
very
bite
small
off.
piece of property, yeah.
For a very small piece of
And
property.
very close to the property line, yeah.
I mean, I'm also looking at it, and I won't sort of opine on all the different strategies, but, you know, one of it was just a salt box that was like an
Well,
acute salt box that came up, and we just kind of gave it a little bit more beef.
You understand us.
Okay, so let's get to the third one. There was a shed on the backyard that was built without a permit during COVID?
Yes.
So that's our excuse.
Is it movable? Can
Not
you move
much
it?
of one,
Well, it's on
but
cinder block.
It's on cinder
It
blocks,
was never meant to be permanent.
How big is it?
It's big.
300 and something square feet.
It's bigger than the original one that was there.
what do you use that
But
for?
how big? What is it?
In there originally.
Help me with how big it is.
36.
Oh, that's,
Use it for?
What do you use it for?
Storage. I mean, the idea was originally to put everything that if we were gonna get the storage for my mom's artwork into above the studio, would be to have more storage space in there for that, and also yard equipment, you know, regular stuff that you can't store inside the house.
Well, as I understand it, the setback is 10 feet, and you're asking for 8.7.
Yeah,
I'm not having a problem with
Right.
that.
yeah.
I'm not either. I think,
Especially given what
Don't
you've
have
said
any
about
problems
how
with pyramid there. We're
Yeah.
within the pyramid.
vegetated it is.
It's
But-
very heavily
but
vegetated, yes.
We'll need something that just says the cost to move it would
Yeah.
be,
Yeah,
you know, exorbitant in comparison to the gain of a foot and a third.
a third, yeah. I mean, so it's.
We need
it's-
that in the
it's
record.
Small, but let's,
Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
that's,
that one I think you don't have
I agree.
to sweat about.
it's more the pyramid. That's what you're hearing from us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You know, what-
yeah.
Okay, so,
All right.
I think,
no pyramid on the shed right now, as far as you know?
no
There's-
pyramid on shed.
okay, and there's none present that you're aware of?
It's just a shed,
Okay, just checking.
a shed
just
roof
checking.
that's,
Okay,
I mean,
beautiful.
I've looked at that several times on the site.
Thank you.
Okay, so you need, oh, sorry, we
Wait,
have to
I think we
ask.
asked, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on 188 Maple Lane? Is there anybody on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, Julie, go ahead.
Okay, so it sounds like you need a little time to go back to the literal drawing board.
We'll be here at the next hearing.
You'd be prepared for the
Think
next
you'll be ready at the
hearing?
next hearing?
I mean, we'd have to submit Candace and everything.
Right, in time. Candace, so when would you need any,
Have your documents next week?
Probably not. So the
Yes,
next,
I will go to September 3rd.
Okay.
I don't know, it's all up to Candace.
September-
She's the
That'll
boss.
give me enough time to get it to you all, because otherwise I will have to
September
have it by next
3?
week.
It's sounding like.
Is that okay?
All right, so you're making a motion?
Yes, so I move to adjourn the hearing and see your submissions on September 3.
Second,
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Thank you very much.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
number 3 on the agenda, application of Robert and Lindsay LeBeau, 51 Bridgefield Road, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-105-1-14.10. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory side yard setback from 20 feet to 10 feet for a proposed raised patio and any other relief necessary.
Mr. Springer, do you want to introduce yourself and state your
Yes,
address?
Kevin Springer, Dynamic Legal, 48 Columbine Avenue North, Hampton Bays, New York.
Okay, so tell us about this application.
You want to swear me in?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I see you so often, I forget. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay. Now you can state your name again.
So hopefully this one's a little less complicated than the other ones, but we'll see.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so we have right now an existing patio that is off the back of the house and right off the kitchen, which is totally legal. The reason we're here is, we have a non-conforming lot, but, it still would be, even though we're R80, R40 would still give us the same setback, which would have been years ago, but, so we would still need the 20 and not the 10. One of the main reasons we're here is because, and I did bring, I don't know who actually got to see the thing, but is because we're a little bit raised. We're about 10 inches above what would.
Almost like 2 feet, isn't it, or 2.5?
It's, this is at its high point, I believe, is 20 to 21 inches according to the
Yeah,
ground. So
yeah.
that's why we need a building permit, and thus, the building permit needs a variance. It's not a very large addition. If you look at the survey, which going to here, to the rear of the property. Now, obviously, this property is very pie-shaped, and the back comes to a complete point. We're about, at the most, we're about 9 to 10 feet of an extension. On the sides, a couple feet, and one side, very little. The main reason we were keeping it here is, again, because it comes right off the kitchen and makes it nice and simple. We do have screening already, and, which is actually some of it's new, so it's not, I'm gonna leave these with you, but they're actually not even fully grown in, because they're fairly new, so there will be more. I did meet with this neighbor today and walked the property.
Which neighbor? Lot
The
9?
one is,
Closest to the property line.
yeah, so if you're
where
looking
the-
at that, it would be
that's
lot
the lot.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you look at this, so this here, let me just make sure I have it in the right direction. Okay. So this is Bridgefield, and this is us with the here. So if you measure from here to the neighbor to the east, we are approximately 150 feet plus to his patio. And then the folks who, the neighbor that we've already spoke to, we're at approximately 120. So we have a lot of separation between our patio and their patios. And we are very heavily screened, and there has, I spoke to 3 other neighbors. While I appreciate their thoughts, they all said, no problem, good luck, but none of them can even remotely see it because they're on the other side of the road. All the houses on this little, it's a dead-end road, by the way, basically is all, they're larger houses with very high privet hedges. So on this side, you can't see anything. And then the last but not least, if you came directly off, you have a flag lot, but which is owned by the same 2 people. This is just a tennis court. So we're not really affecting any of our neighbors. And it's, you know, it's just a very basic extension. Get a little more seating, put the grill over there a little bit instead of on the side of the house. That's, unless you have any questions, I don't really have too much to.
John, this is yours.
I have not a question to ask.
Wow.
I actually went to see the
No
property.
issues with this.
I went to see it. It's very heavily screened. There's absolutely,
Yeah, well, and the other side is really screened.
yeah,
with
yeah,
the
no,
other
but I
side.
mean.
I just need to look at the GIS.
Yeah, no, it.
It's
you
very
didn't-
far away from
It happened to be
anybody
around
else.
the corner from where I live, that's why I went, but, yeah, no, it certainly doesn't strike me as being any issue. I just, like you said, it's the elevation of the patio that really
otherwise I
creates
wouldn't even
the
be here.
problem, yeah. And it's
So I
not
am
that
gonna
high,
leave
it's
these
not
just-
4 feet, it's like 2 and 2 plus.
Yeah, and again, it's not, it's, you know, it's not very high in to begin with, but it does, unfortunately, doesn't meet the code.
Right.
So that's, so I'm gonna leave these here for you. You
Anybody
can
else
put
on the
them-
board have a question?
Nothing from me.
Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on 51 Bridgefield Road? Anybody on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, John, you want to,
Okay, I move to close the public hearing on this application, hold it open for written submissions to August 21st with a decision on September 3rd.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Kevin.
Number 4 on the agenda, 372 Lumber Lane BH LLC, 372 Lumber Lane, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-52-1-26.1. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed tennis court. 1, Section 330-6, another one? General regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory side yard setback from 30 feet to 17.9 feet and an accessory rear yard setback from 30 feet to 19.5 feet. And 2, Section 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and Section 330-83C yards to allow the tennis court to be located within the required side yard for the principal building on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Mr. Benacasa, would you
Carl
please?
Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway for the applicant. This is a unique one. It's a tennis court with side yard relief in a home that's currently under construction.
Totally unique. Case of first impression.
So, There's a few reasons. I will say this was submitted and the building permit was issued with the tennis court in a slightly different location within setbacks. Once the construction was underway, some aspects of it were noted to pose difficulty with respect to topography and with respect to separation from the home. Part of this application required, well, not this application, part of this, the general scheme of development here required approval from the planning board for a revegetation. In order for this relief to be granted, we need to revisit that revegetation. There was an approved revegetation plan by the planning
All
board.
the hash lines are?
Sorry?
Is that what all the hash lines are?
That's what all the hash lines are.
Got it.
So wait a second, you're saying that you have not gotten
We have gotten it for the previous
for
one.
the previous, so, all right, so they have to,
Obviously, this would be, any relief granted would be subject to that, and we've had conversations with the planning department who had no issue with this relocation and a redesign of the re-veg plan, provided the revegetation obviously was shifted so that the same percentage of
but you have to go through the
coverage.
process.
We will go through that process, yes. But those discussions have already taken place. Now, Justin from Laurel Fine Landscapes, I believe, is on the Zoom. I think he would be best to walk you through the topographic concerns with the previous location of the tennis court, which was just about 10 feet inward or towards the home.
What-
Was 10
What's the
feet
size of the court? Because it's not noted on the survey.
55 by 115.
Oh, well, we do 55 by 110.
Okay, so we can reduce that.
Yes, and it needs to be noted on the survey,
We will
obviously.
certainly put it on the survey.
And am I reading this correctly? Looks like 70% of, or 65% of the tennis court is within the setback lines, and you need relief for about 25 or 35%?
That's exactly
That's
right.
outside, okay.
The bulk of the tennis court complies with setbacks. It's
Got it.
just, it's this area here. I would say that's probably maybe 10% of the tennis court.
Yeah, all right.
So the issue is side yard location, side yard setback, rear yard setback.
That's
And
right.
with the shrinking of the length of the court, you will have a reduction in the rear yard.
Rear yard setback, that's right.
Right. You'll have a bigger setback for the rear yard.
Right. And there's no clearing variances that you need from us, that can be accommodated?
We are not asking for
Okay,
clearing
just-
variances, no. That's been thoroughly vetted with the planning
Got
department.
it, okay.
And,
Is Justin on?
go ahead.
Is he on, Justin? Is he-
Kevin, is Justin on?
Bring him in now.
Okay, let me swear him in.
There's a lot going on there, I'll say that. No clearing, I mean, the coverage is all good?
This was a farm field, this was widely pre-existing clearing. We have a pre-existing clearing determination, but it still required revegetation.
Okay,
To
and
get
co-
back to the
and-
pre-existing numbers.
Okay, all right, I'm just,
Yeah, it was a industrial, commercial site, wasn't it?
Well, it was operated as a commercial site, but never approved for that
Oh,
by the
oh,
previous.
interesting.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay.
no, there were pre-existing commercial uses that had been converted to dwelling uses without.
Oh, okay.
But that has now been resolved
Okay, thank you.
with the bulldozer.
Justin, I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please state your name and address.
Justin Kwasnick with the Laurel Group at 910 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York.
Okay, so tell us what the problem was.
Susan, does that spell his last name?
Spell your last name, Justin.
Sure. Kwasnick is Kwasnik.
Okay, so tell us what the original problem was and the need for relocation.
Understood. So we started with having the 30-foot setback on the, that is the western side, which is the rear of the property, and the south side, which is the left side of the property on the site plan. Main concern here was mitigating the grade change. So for those not aware or have not seen the site, there's significant change of grade from Lumber Lane to the back or rear of the property, which is the western property line. The architect did a great job siting the house, but that does not obviously relieve everything concerning the neighbors and mitigating water as well. So first and foremost, having the court meet those setbacks on grade, we would still need a 4-foot wall on the Lumber Lane side. And if we did that on grade, we would also need an 8 to 10 foot fence on top of that. So from the road's perspective, it would be a 4-foot wall plus an 8 to 10 foot fencing to handle the play of the tennis court. That felt a bit much. So what we did is sink the court to reduce that impact to a 4-foot fence, which would be, aesthetically look like either a pool fence or a property line fence that you would be accustomed to seeing. Now the challenge there is when we sink it, obviously now we need 8 steps to deal with that grade change, and that becomes a bit untenable next to the house, right? So that goes 8 foot out, so that only leaves us about 2 or 3 feet from the house at that point. Also, the northwest corner is very, very high in elevation. And as you go down the southern elevation on the left side of the property, the grade changes about 10 feet. So by sinking it and having the wall on the property line or close to the property line, we're able to retain the water, swale it in the revegetation area so that we don't cause any issues with the neighbor and are able to soften the impact also visually.
Okay, so there were water issues and the kind of visual of a huge fence. Okay, so that's what, and you're with the planning department now and looking at the process of trying to do the revegetation plan or the vegetation plan. Go ahead.
We have an approved re-veg plan that needs to be amended if you were to grant this.
You have it approved for the old.
For the old layout.
But so this is a whole new thing, so yeah, you're gonna have to have a new.
It needs to be amended. And the
Amended.
question is, do you get it amended before the variance? And the planning department said, before we amend a plan, get your relief. So I've talked to
Oh,
Seth.
I see.
He has no issues with amending it. I can represent that. But that is going to be subject to planning board approval. And we fully expect and anticipate any relief granted would note, subject to planning board approval on the revised revegetation.
Thank you for that
And they're aware that you
clarification.
have an application before us for this, moving this.
They do, yes.
Okay.
Okay. I noted that in the packet, there was a letter from one neighbor. I did not see a letter from the other neighbor, who is probably the one more impacted, which is the neighbor in the back.
A neighbor to the front, sort of on the,
Yeah,
let's call it the southeast neighbor there.
right.
Issued a letter of support. The southwest neighbor was not, we have heard nothing from.
You've
So I don't-
All right, okay, if she's here, then we'll hear from her.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we're talking about sunken vegetative area. I noticed that on the, I went to see the site, there are tall trees. There's certainly a lack of like a vegetative screening, a lot of tall trees, but sort of nothing down below, at least in the back. All right, okay, so just from my perspective, you need to note that it's gonna be a 55 by 110, and that's gonna change both the side and the back. It'll change the side too, I think.
Well, the 55 stays the same, so I don't,
No, no.
Well, it's gonna
Yeah, but
depend
it's
on
gonna
how
drop
you-
it down, so it may change your side yard setback too. I just don't know. You're gonna have to do the calculation.
we'll see how it does.
Okay. Anybody else from the board have questions that we want to hear from the audience? Okay, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard? Okay, take your turns. Somebody come up. I swear you in. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Pamela Harwood, and I'm the president of the Bridgehampton Civic Association. I reside at 371 Woodland Drive, which is right down the road from this property. And before I get to the rest of my comments, I do want to say it's been confusing for me and my colleagues to assess this application. One of my neighbors received information from Mr. Benincasa. Then there's looking at the site itself, there's the application, there's conflicting information. And we would like a chance to review that. We will be sending you further comments. I know I don't have much time tonight, so we'll be sending you letters and with questions that we have, and you can review it, and because
Have
there
you
seemed...
gotten clarification from Mr. Benincasa? He's usually
We
very
haven't
helpful.
reached out yet because my
Okay.
neighbor just sent me the application that you sent him. But there are other questions too. You go to the site and things look different, then it's a little complicated. And so we want to make sure of our facts before we go on.
Okay.
But I just want to say
There's a lot
tonight-
going on that site, because I was
Yeah, there is, and I live right down the road.
You need to get some clarification for
Yes,
yourselves,
exactly.
yes.
Every day, when I turn onto Lumber Lane from Sullivan Way, this huge compound is now going to be what I see directly in front of me, as will my neighbors. Not so long ago, this was a neighborhood of modest houses and open fields. These houses are being knocked down to make way for ever larger houses and accessory structures that cover as much of the land as possible. Before you is an application for 3 variances by a developer who clear-cut all vegetation to make way for a massive 10,000 square foot home and accessory 1,500 square foot barn with additional living space. In the application, I think that was called a garage, a 2-car garage. In another document, it's called a barn. It has, the home and the barn garage are already erected, which means if I was going to put in an application for a variance, I think I would have done it before these structures were erected, but maybe hearing the Laurel Group, maybe clarified that a little bit. There's also, by the way, when you mentioned by piecemeal, there's also the fact that what's been advertised on the website, and that's the other contradiction of what's being advertised on the developer's website as what would be included in this. There's a pool, and none of us can figure out how that pool can be built also with enough setback. So we're wondering if that's a thrill to come as a separate application, but we don't know about that. And it is apples and orange from what homeowners who might want to add modest accessory structures to existing properties might need minor variances. The applicant says they need setback variance because the lot is narrower in the back than in the front. What you may not know is that this is quite common in this particular neighborhood, is true of my own property and all of my neighbors. And we bought our properties knowing this, as did Kristen Farrell, and we work with what we have. We do not intrude on our now and future neighbors for our own gain. And I think that's an important thing to consider, because an existing neighbor right now says, oh, I have no problem with this. They may be saying that for a number of reasons. Maybe next year they want to sell their house and do other things, and they don't want to nix this. But future people will live there and might have a problem with this. These variances have become an expectation, which we think is wrong. There are no unusual circumstances here. Only the developer's desire to increase profits by including more structures than even this 1.5 acre lot can legally accommodate. And by the way, that's another discrepancy. The application sent to my neighbor says it's something like 61,000 square feet, but 1.5 acres, I believe, is 65,000. And what is left out of this application, and here for me this is the most important, is that it lies in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, which was...
Pamela, we are going to try to keep our comments, so
Yeah, I'm
everybody
trying to
has a
keep
chance.
within 3 minutes, so
Okay.
I'll try to be quickly.
3.5.
Which was implemented to protect the safety of our water quality and therefore the health of the community. According to the town code, the amount of clearing should not have exceeded 35% of this property. How can this board grant reduced setbacks for a tennis court when there doesn't seem to be enough land remaining to revegetate 65%. I don't understand that. When you look at this site plan or on the rendering that's being advertised by the developer, it doesn't look like there's 65% of land to revegetate. It's filled with structures, tennis courts, swimming pools, patios. That's the biggest question. All the hardscaping in this site plan would create a great deal of runoff toward Lumber Lane. Landscapers would use pesticides, herbicides. All these chemicals will not be absorbed by vegetation and will make their way down to the groundwater. I and many neighbors in the neighborhood are using well water. A lot of people assume that we're all on Suffolk County water. We're not. We're on well water. And if I have,
Okay.
my time is up, I will write you
Yeah,
further.
please do. You know, we'd like to receive those comments.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? All right, we're taking turns. Okay. Are you an attorney?
No, I'm not.
I swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name.
Peter Fader, I live on 371 Woodland Drive. I just want
Say
to,
your last name for me, please.
F as in Frank, E as in Edward, D as in David, ER as in Robert. Just listening to all this, I mean, I cannot tell you how many times my wife and I have been sitting at these type of hearings where the house has already been built, and now they're coming back for the pool, or they're coming back for the tennis court. And with all due respect, I think this leads to a pattern and practice of big developers gaming the system. They're gaming the system. They know they're going to get approval from the building department for the 15,000 square foot monstrosity on a they cleared, this whole thing was an acre and a half. They went on the neighbor's property to clear some of the trees on their property, only so they can revegetate. This was a mess. And so you're starting with a clean slate of an acre and a half, and you get the house, you get the side, the barn, and now, because you've got all these gigantic structures already approved and in place, now you gotta go and play the game and roll the dice with the ZBA. And this has been going on for 10 years at least, because that's how long we've been coming here. And I just think you gotta change the way you do things. The building department should not be issuing permits for the building when they know sure to come that the pool, the tennis court, the fire pit, they're all coming later. And it just doesn't make sense to me that it's like Groundhog Day. Every time we come here, it's the same thing. I just don't get it. And with this particular property, I can tell you, we are gonna have so much runoff, because Lumber Lane sits here, Sullivan Way comes down like this, and every time it rains, the road floods. It floods into the easements, and now we're gonna have all, because it hasn't been vegetated, you're gonna have all that soil coming onto Sullivan Way. It's gonna clog up our dry wells, and it's gonna make it even worse. So this is not good. It's going to create additional hardships for everyone in the neighborhood. So I would hope you would find your way to say no. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Next. Are you an attorney?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Clorinda Pisano, Pisano. I live at 34.
P-I-S-A-N-O?
Pardon me?
You said P-I-S-A-N-O?
Perfect.
I'm sorry, your first name again.
Clorinda, Clorinda.
Okay, thank you.
First, I want to apologize. I don't have specific information because I just received the letter the day before yesterday about this hearing, so I apologize. I am the neighbor immediately adjacent to this property, and I just want to say a couple of things, which is Mr. Benicoska, the first person that you were evaluating a decision on, you said that you didn't understand because the variance would put the tennis court further away from the home. In this particular case, the variance is putting the tennis court 12 feet closer to my house. It is very, very tight.
Where are you on? So this
She's
is
up
a
here.
survey.
This is,
Oh, is that there? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
In addition, so you know, the retaining wall is being built as we speak, right on the side of my house. And there is a valley between the retaining wall and my property that I have serious concerns about because of a dramatic shift in the water streaming, running off. It's a substantial deviation from what is there now. In addition, this is not a hardship. This is a spec house. It's a self preference, it's a luxury, and it is going to have a major encroachment on my property. I'm not suggesting that they don't have a tennis court, but there has got to be other options on how to arrange things. And bringing the house closer to me is not just.
court closer to you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you, thank you. It's a major encroachment on my property.
How far is your house from your property line?
Minimal feet, maybe 2-3 feet.
Older home, it's,
Not too old, yeah.
okay, so did you have a setback issue with your house or not?
No,
Okay.
no. What else did I want to say? You mentioned earlier something about a noise issue. Having a tennis court 2 to 3 feet from your property does have major noise issue, and I can speak from experience because I had a tennis court in my former home in my backyard, and there is major noise associated with that. But regardless of that, more importantly, I am very concerned about lack of privacy now. I'm concerned about water issues, and you were mentioning something about vegetation. I can tell you that I saw with my own 2 eyes. They ripped up every single tree on that property, including trees that belonged to 346 Lumber Lane. It was during the closing, so the property wasn't legally mine yet, within literally 24 to 48 hours, and then they made a compensation, but they ripped up every tree on that property. They ripped up trees on my property that were legally, that was a mistake. There is 1 tree left, maybe 2, but the branches, they completely cut down the branches that fall onto their side. So the trunk is on their side, but the branches are on my side, which is fine. I have been able to manage them. But this is a very, very serious issue, and I would like to take a pause and have conversation. This is the first I'm hearing of it. I wish someone had knocked on my door or sent me an email or whatever.
Okay, well, as I said, Mr. Benacasa is very available and happy to meet with whomever.
Whenever you like.
Yeah, I mean, we know from experience that he is, so, we're gonna ask you to do that. And I know that Pam will also ask for additional time to take a look at some of the stuff, so we're gonna be giving you that, for sure.
There has to be some ways to rearrange
I'm not
some of the
exactly sure.
structures.
I did have a question for you, Carl. The setback for the proposed structure, which is actually built, the, next to the house or in front of the house, the setback is 51.3 feet. Did you get a variance on that?
That's it was existing, so we're rebuilding. There was an existing structure there, so they deemed us to have that.
And who deemed that to you,
The
the
chief building
building?
inspector.
Okay, just curious about that.
This is the sideline of the tennis court.
No.
You don't need 12 feet to have between a sideline of a tennis court and the retaining wall or the wall that, I mean, when the ball is out, it's out. You don't need 12 feet to be between the sideline, maybe the baseline, but certainly not the sideline.
Okay, well, I think that you're gonna be taking a look at some of this, some of the changes and coming back to be creative and see what you can come up with. But as As I see it, the pool is set back 35 feet, so that meets the 30-foot backyard, rear yard setback.
The clearing was pre-existing, so it's not, it doesn't,
But the trees were the clearing of the trees was pre-existing? It doesn't sound like-
there was grandfathered clearing on this property. We were, as part of the development, in consultation with planning, that's why there was this revegetation plan. Some of that revegetation was removed, but it is going to be revegetated with planning oversight and to planning standards.
Okay.
And we have approved planting plans that now would need to be, if relief was granted, would need to be modified.
And I think those are going to be good things to talk to the neighbor
Yeah,
about.
right, and particularly anything
Absolutely.
that's sound, effective would be helpful as well, so,
They
Okay.
don't need to be 12 feet. That's a lot of feet to come closer to my property when
Okay.
there's only 2 or 3 feet between that line, what he's asking
This,
for, and
this
my
is showing,
property.
this is showing almost 18 feet, 17.9 feet.
I'll have to look at it.
yeah, you'll have to look at it, because it shows, and it's gonna actually change a little
Are you,
bit,
are you
because
saying that, do you think the court would be 2 or 3 feet from your property?
The side of the court,
yeah,
not
but
the.
it says on
not-
this survey, it's 17.9.
18 feet.
I'm gonna look at mine.
Okay,
But the point you're making, which is interesting, is, do you need all that extra space on one side of a foul line? Which,
Exactly.
I'm not,
I am.
I'm,
And you don't.
amazing. I'm not a tennis court designer, so how would I know? But, it's curious. This is the conversation you guys should have.
For my expertise, the standards that I see is 55 by 110 is essentially the smallest that's comfortable for the average player. I'm a ASBA member, American Sports Builders Association member. I'm certified in post-tension concrete. My specialty is design and development of sports environments. In a residential setting, typically the smallest that I'll go to is the 55 by 110 with the Hollywood or corners.
Okay,
Otherwise,
yeah.
college level play, for example.
Justin, this is the standard that this zoning board has used for years. We're not amending that standard. It's 55 by
No,
110.
he's saying that's
Yes.
what,
Well, he's saying actually that, most, people would like 55 by 120 or whatever, but we're going 55 by 110. So
Understood.
that's a done deal.
Right, but that side doesn't need to be 12 feet
Okay,
closer.
so you're saying the fence.
Correct.
And now it's going to be sunken?
I understand, but the retaining wall is already,
Okay.
So you're talking about the retaining wall.
Being
not the-
built. It's
not-
already
not
being
the-
built.
Not the, not the
I didn't see that when
court
I went to
itself.
see the property, but,
just the last 3 days. they
well, I
put
was
it up.
there within 3 days. I saw them doing something back there, but I didn't think it was retaining wall, but whatever it is. Okay, there needs to be some discussion. Anybody else in the audience who wishes to be heard?
What is the next step?
Well, let me just, is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard?
Yes, I have a hand up.
Okay, okay, we'll explain it to you. You can step back.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Meredith Berkowitz of the Bridgehampton Civic Association.
You are an attorney. You are an
I am,
attorney. Yeah, okay,
yes.
go ahead.
I hope you'll indulge me for 2 minutes, just answer some of your questions that came up and then allow me to say what I was going to say with my original 3 minutes. Susan, first, to answer your question, I do think they erred on that accessory barn. The existing structure had a prior variance that was limited to a very specific use as a newspaper office and print shop, and before that, an auto repair. That is no longer applicable, and the variance therefore no longer applies, and I will send it to you so that you can see that. I think that Sean McDermott erred, that they do need a variance for that, and it is not 90 feet from the street, and it requires a variance. I also think they need a variance for the deck in back, which is only, I believe, something like 19 feet from the rear yard line, and they haven't applied for a variance for that yet either. So I do think there's a bit of sequencing going on here. the survey that was also filed with the permit that they got issued, the court was already not in a conforming location. It was always in the required side yard, and I don't know why the permit was issued for that without a variance for that either. I'm not really sure what happened with Sean McDermott on this. To go back to what I was going to say is that zoning boards were created as a safety valve to address unforeseen application of the zoning laws. They were not meant to have a blank check to relieve every hardship. And great care must be taken by boards to ensure that the purpose and intent of the adopted zoning laws are still carried out and upheld, lest the zoning code become meaningless. The objection is not to a tennis court, but whether a variance is necessary to accommodate it under the statutory balancing test and not a mere preference. This property is 1.5 acres, more than sufficient to accommodate a large house and a whole host of amenities, even with its somewhat irregular shape. You only need to take a quick look at the survey to realize that if the applicant needs 3 variances, it's entirely the result of voluntary design choices and site overdevelopment to an extraordinary degree. A 12,000 square foot house, a separate 1,500 square foot accessory barn, an oversized pool, patios and decks, a gravel dining area larger than the size of a pool in the rear yard, expansive preserved lawn space and driveways and a tennis court. To use Mr. Benincas's words, can the applicant's goal for the property be achieved? Absolutely. Any number of the choices made by the applicant could have been modified, eliminated, or reduced to accommodate all of the amenities desired and still achieve the goals for the property. The variance process was not created to enable developers to design to the limits or beyond and then use the variance process for the remainder. To adopt that interpretation would be to completely undermine the purpose and intent of the adopted zoning laws. Owners like the applicant who desire additional amenities beyond what the zoning code permits have many options, including redesigning their site plan or purchasing a property capable of accommodating everything they desire. Setbacks and dimensional controls are not mere technicalities. They provide light, air, open space, and visual and physical buffering between properties aimed at protecting neighborhood character, health, and safety. Each variance that reduces those protections incrementally and permanently alters and compromises that character, health, and safety, and sets a precedent that will be used for similar and more extensive relief in the future.
Meredith, can you kind of wrap it up, please?
Yeah.
I am. While there's plenty of precedent in the area, the difference is that in this case, unlike many of the other number of small changes to site design, could have completely have absolved or ameliorated the need for the variances. And there are sequential concerns here. These permits were requested in March and granted in April, and Sean did note some of the variances that would be needed, and yet here they didn't file this variance request until July. They've also discrepancies with the house. The house is submitted as 10,000 square feet, but it's being marketed at 12,000. The pool house was submitted as a pergola, but being marketed as covered. That makes a big difference for lot coverage, both of those. We need to sort those out before any decision should be made on granting a variance. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you, Meredith. Kevin, is there anybody else on Zoom?
That's all.
Okay. All right, seems like there's some work to be done here.
So I'll just note that, these are, as always, these are vetted by the building department. They look for any relief that we may have not asked for in our application and note it. The relief required is the relief before you as determined by the building department. I can go through the whole spiel, but I know this is a big calendar, and I think I'll have another opportunity to speak on this, so
Sounds like.
I will do that at the next meeting. Can we do it August 20th? I'm here already for that one.
I assume that you will have an opportunity to meet with whomever wants to meet with you, and that they will have an
Yes,
opportunity to...
my number and email's out there, please reach out.
Can I try to summarize what I think is the place we're at right now? I mean, is it your contention that you already have a location approved in a building permit of some kind for a tennis court? And the issue that you're presenting to us is a relatively narrow one, which is, will we consider shifting what you already have approved that results in roughly a 10% area variance for the structure that you already have an approval for, which doesn't diminish any of the concerns other people raised, but that's essentially the question before us.
Yeah, so, all right, then I will happily get into it now. the argument that this is somehow staged, we had asked for the tennis court from the beginning in a conforming location. The site elements, as noted, made us reconsider that, given that what pursuing the building permit would do to the grading and topography and drainage and water retention and all of that. So we are here pursuing this not because we wanted to wedge in a tennis court, which we knew we were always going to get, but thought maybe we didn't want it in a conforming location. We initially did, and that conforming location proved difficult. So now we are here asking for a modification.
Well,
I am not, that grading and such, and actual construction is not my expertise. That's why the gentleman, Justin was here to explain the concerns with that. So I don't think that sort of staged variance, or however you want to term it, self-created hardship is a relevant consideration here. It was also brought up that I said about the previous opponent, I didn't understand why he was opposing the court in a manner that he wanted it closer to his home. I think that was just critiquing the nature of his opposition, nothing more than that. I understand opposition from adjacent homeowners is often going to be based on a structure being closer to their home than zoning would otherwise permit. But that's not the only consideration, as this board well knows. And there are ways to mitigate the impact of that, and I am more than, and I know my client too, is more than open to discussing any mitigation that may make this palatable for the most impacted, who no question is the most impacted neighbor. So I'm eager to have those discussions with her. And
Ms.
hopefully-
Pisano.
Yes, and Ms. Pisano should
Correct.
feel free to reach out to me, and hopefully we can have a fruitful conversation.
And always with the idea that water on the property stays on the property. So I'm assuming that you've got a good plan for water retention on the property, which you can also discuss with the
Well,
neighbors.
Carl, one thing, so you just said that the reason that this was reconsidered and the court is being moved is because of grading issues, drainage issues, things of that nature. I've not seen anything about that in this application. I'd love to see a submission with regard to that, or somebody come and testify as to that, because I think
That's
that
what Justin was here for.
I know,
if
but
you-
we need to see something in writing.
I'd like to see something in writing that this is for the purpose of mitigating drainage and grading issues. I think
Issues weren't known about 2 or 3
She
years
can't speak
ago.
from the
you can't speak from there, and this is not really the time right now. Please. A lot of the issues that I heard tonight are not anything that's within the purview, our purview on this application. I just want to make that clear, so anybody coming back next time who wants to speak, really the issue is the tennis court, the setbacks on the side, and the rear yard.
That's it.
That's it. And it seems Ms. Pisano has the most compelling argument with regard to noise or disturbance of her property. Runoff of water, the trees being removed, all of that really isn't in our purview. So we really can't be thinking about those things unless they are somehow affected by moving that tennis court however many feet.
Well, but I think it'd be very important, as John says, to have in writing all of the reasons why the tennis court was relocated.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, and also I think, I'm hearing a very distinct misunderstanding of what this board is here to do.
Right.
And I think I'd like to make mention of that for the public. We're not here as a last stand against building for the purpose of upholding the zoning laws. The board is created because when zoning was implemented, it wasn't a one-size-fits-all thing, and different properties are different. Each are special in their own way, and so we are here to determine, using the 5-part test, whether or not a variance is something that should be allowed on any specific property. So we are, in a certain sense, permissive to an extent within the confines of the law. We're not here as a bulwark against construction and development.
Correct. Okay,
Can I make
all
one
right,
final
let's wrap
request?
this up,
Just,
yeah.
just on to the request about, you know, a written description of, you know, a further sort of justification for what has changed that causes this request. And you know, we heard a number of people testifying. I used to work in Bridgehampton, so I know Lumber Lane, and I know some of the water challenges that it has. And I'd appreciate the same level of rigor in the justification for the analysis of why you have to do this, that you're ensuring that the cure to fit this doesn't pass on to somebody else a problem that they wish they didn't have.
I agree, and just want to emphasize, because of what John said, for example, the clearing that occurred is not necessarily within our purview, but to the extent, and Justin, this is probably for you, the clearing plus the variance would result in some kind of problematic condition for Ms. Pisano. That is, in my view, within our purview, and I want to understand that.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Okay. This was John's, and he is not here. So what are we talking about?
What kind of time do you need?
You wanted to come at the next meeting?
I'm here already on
Said
the other.
8:20.
You're going to have enough time to get all of that submitted to
tennis
us?
court
Because we have to
foundation.
have this in writing by
Tuesday.
Tuesday, all the
Analysis
analysis.
is probably Wednesday.
Is Justin still on?
Yeah.
Justin, do you think you can accommodate that analysis by Tuesday, or would you like some more time?
I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to move that we adjourn, or we hold this open,
I'm sorry, I missed, oh, no, I'm not sorry, yes, Tuesday.
hold this open for continued discussion on 8:20.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And you should have the written submissions to Candace by next Tuesday.
Yeah, and I just note any neighbors that you have to reach, I don't have your contact, so please reach out to me if you want to.
I think they're
They're all
outside.
outside.
Okay.
They're waiting for you.
Well, I've got one more. They're gonna have to wait.
Is it another tennis court?
It's a tennis court, yes.
Yes.
No, it's not a tennis court.
Number 5 on the agenda. We're only on 5. Okay, number 5 on the agenda, application of Alice M. Greenwald Revocable Trust, 101524, 148 Edgemere Drive, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-31-2-2. Applicant requests relief from the provisions of the Town Code for the following. 1, to legalize the location of a generator installed without the benefit of a building permit on a non-conforming lot, section 330-77G, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts for a side yard setback of 9 feet where 10 feet is required, and 2, to legalize the location of 2 air conditioning units installed without the benefit of a building permit, section 330-77G, for side yard setbacks of 6.2 and 6.7 feet, respectively, where 10 feet is required, and any other relief necessary.
And the board has jurisdiction.
Okay. Carl, introduce yourself again.
Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant.
Okay, so tell us about this application.
This was, I don't know, I think you were on the board, Susan, at this time. Maybe you were, John? This was a
I'm
variance.
sorry, hold on, Carl. And this is something different?
You should only have those 2.
Yeah, but there's two pages.
Are these a pair, or?
Looks like they're a pair. I'm passing them out in pairs. Here we go.
Here's a pair, and I'll take a pair.
So this is, this was a variance that was granted back in March of 2022. So Helen, you were on
You
the,
think if the people who are outside, you think you can give them their card?
Oh, you didn't get the second page?
Before they leave?
you want me to do that now?
I think you should, because if you're gonna,
You want me to do that now?
2-second break.
go ahead. If you have your cards, quick before they leave. Before they leave.
All right, Candace is going
Okay,
to.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, back in 2022, we presented a variance. I think Helen was on the board, I think Susan was on the board, John?
2022, possibly.
Possibly, but a variance for relief for existing structures. there was a wooden deck that required relief, and its variance, decision D022020. And the relief was granted. Just a little bit of background, this was purchased by my client with these issues that were discovered during diligence. And then we decided to close with escrow, which often happens, with an understanding that this variance would be pursued and obtained, and it was. So there was a previous variance on this. After that happened, there was a complete failure of septic. And they had to put in a brand-new septic system, which is this, which I showed you, an IA system. Now, that IA system requires power, as you know.
Yep.
And if the power fails, it's a massive problem. So the installers recommended that you put in a generator, given it's not a great idea to leave your septic to the whim of the power grid.
Generator just for the unit, or is it for the whole
The
house?
generator can service the rest of the house, but it's essentially there because of the unit.
Okay.
And that generator was located in a location consulted, that was a location that was in consultation with the septic provider, and that's where it is. It requires 1 foot of relief. There's also these AC units, which are right up against the house. As you can see, this house, and as noted in the previous variance, it is incredibly burdened. It is a 15,000 square foot house with a lot, it's a 15,000 square foot zone with a lot area of 6,900 square feet. So it's a very small lot. So it becomes very tight. There are structures that are similarly situated to the side yard. Given this house was built in its current location, the
How old is the house?
house
Or
goes
last
back
renovated?
quite a ways. I'm sure I can.
Yeah, what I'm trying to get at is the age of the units you're asking for relief. The generator's new.
And after
Generator's new.
the generator is new.
Right, no, that I know, but the AC units are,
Yeah, they're,
They
since
look
the
new.
variance.
okay,
since
okay.
Yeah, they look new,
Okay.
yeah.
And then finally, that shed. Now, in the previous variance, we agreed that we would relocate the shed. But now, given where septic is, the shed has limited places to go. The shed does straddle the line. You can't grant negative variances like that. So we understand you might condition it on at least putting it all on our side, but.
Well, or relocating. I mean, it seems to be substantially further away from the septic than you indicated.
Is this the same size shed? I mean, this is the shed that.
This is the shed, yeah.
It's a small shed, you got plenty of room to move
Yeah,
that.
I think so, too. And in fact, it says shed to be removed or relocated to conforming location, so I think that has to be a requirement, personally. All right, go ahead. Keep going.
That's the entire application, just the AC, the generators, and the shed.
Okay, I actually did go to see this. It looked familiar.
Yeah, I'm sure. it did.
They're narrow
Were you
lots.
assigned to it last time?
No, I don't know, but maybe, it could be. You know, the houses are close on either side. You know, the generator, I mean, my question is it possible to put some cement around the generator? Not so much the AC units, but the generator, because they do make so much noise when they're, and I'd like to see some.
Some sort of sound
A sound barrier. I know I don't know, whose hedge is that and whose fence? There's a whatever, fence. Stockade, sorry, losing my voice. Stockade with hedges, and I don't know whose they are, because if they're the neighbors, it would be nice to say, if it was yours, it'd be nice to say you have to maintain it. But I don't know. It's on both sides, it's the same question. I don't know whose they are.
But sound mitigation.
Sound mitigation.
And just to clarify, this is an emergency power failure generator. It doesn't run for any other purpose, right?
That's correct.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because it would be a disaster if that system lost power.
It's a separate conversation, but
Yeah, yeah. And so I have the question about whose who's responsible for the sheds and the fences on either side? Because if it was the homeowner, it would be nice to say, you must maintain it,
Sheds on either, you mean this shed here?
No, not the shed, the hedges.
The hedgerow.
Did I
that-
say
That
shed?
buffers the,
Oh, boy, I'm losing it. Okay, it's getting me. Okay. All right, so.
Stop her chanting fast.
You knew what I meant, at least. And, there was a couple of things. It said on the survey, there's a concrete wall on the line. I did not see concrete wall. I did not see where it says 8.7 wall. I did not see, I saw steps, concrete steps. I did not see a wall. I just, if we're gonna have a survey, let's have it accurate, is my question.
Well, I mean, I don't do the survey, so
Yeah,
I will.
I know. But
So you think, which,
on
where do you think there's an inaccuracy?
On the left side where the air conditioners are, I did not see,
There's a hedge and a slate walk.
yes, but it also says concrete wall on line, didn't see it. And then it says wall, 8.7, I didn't see that. I saw steps, but just a minor thing, but whatever.
That, it looks like it's, yeah, on the neighbor's side of the line. So
No, it says wall and it has two arrows. in the-
concrete wall on line. Yes, I see what
Yeah,
you're saying.
okay, and then it says wall just slightly above that. Anyhow, it's minor, but I just picked up that. So my concern is moving the shed and doing some sound barriers for the generator, and also just finding out who owns the fence and hedge, because it would be nice to know that it
Yeah.
needs to be maintained. The screening needs to be maintained. If it's not you, then maybe we have another issue in terms of vegetation on our side, though I don't know if that's the case.
And I see it Susan's
So
way.
if we are willing to commit to maintaining the screening, that would be sufficient sound
Yes.
mitigation.
Yes. All right, did anybody else have a comment about it?
The, on the shed, I think if I just could just touch on that a bit. There are limited places to locate it. Do you have a sense of where it would be, and would you be willing to grant any relief on a resulting location?
Well, it's over the line, number one, so you've got to move it anyhow.
Yeah.
This is R15, so the setback would be 10 feet. Could you move it 10 feet?
Yeah, why can't it be conforming?
Yeah, 10 feet for the rear and 10 feet for the side, so if you could just move it.
I'll talk to my client. I think if there's an issue, I'll put it in written comment, I think.
Okay, I think all of this could be handled in written comment, actually. I don't think you need to come back to this.
presumably the shed also, however you move it, has no pyramid relief.
Yeah, it would need, yes, it would have to
One
be.
would assume, right?
Yeah, that makes
I mean, I don't know how tall it is.
But it has to get better if it moves in.
One would think, I agree.
Well, you already agreed that you were going to remove it or relocate it.
That was the previous variance, but yes, that was.
Yes.
And if the shed is 40 years old, it's probably falling down, and if it'll be easier just to tear down and redo than it would be to move.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't advertised for the shed.
No. No, but it was noted in the last variance that it was to be removed, and it hasn't been.
And it hasn't
on
been,
the
so,
survey,
but- yeah,
the
but-
survey says it will be, so.
Yes.
But are we able to do anything but ensure that it's removed?
We can certainly, Mr. Benacasa is a very reputable attorney, and I'm sure that will happen.
Yes, if you
Okay, so
require it, it will
that
happen.
appears to be a directive.
Take it for what it is.
Take it for, exactly.
If this board requires it, it will happen.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on 148 Edgemere? Is there anybody on Zoom?
Stop and see you, okay.
I have one hand up.
No? Okay. This was Bob's, but, all right,
Somebody on-
so,
Susan, I think he said he had one hand up.
oh, I'm sorry, Kevin, did you say one?
Yeah, I have one person.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
I believe you have the letter of support from a neighbor, too, yes.
Yes, we did. Oh, that's a pretty picture. Okay, are you an attorney?
No, I'm not.
Oh, that's your client. All right, let me swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and address.
Alice M. Greenwald, 148 Edgemere Drive, Southampton, New York, 11968.
Okay, Alice, tell us your comments.
Yes, I am the homeowner here. And the reason the shed can no longer be moved to be in compliance with the setback requirements is because the new septic drainage field is under the area of the property, which, as you've already said, is extraordinarily narrow and very small. It can no longer be there because that is where the only place that the shed could be relocated to. We complied with Southampton Township requirements to put in the kind of septic system that would be ecologically appropriate in our area. We did everything according to the rule. We followed every rule. We did everything we could. And we are now asking to be relieved of the responsibility of moving a shed that there is literally nowhere else on the property to go.
So,
And it is not 40 years old.
how many bedrooms is the house?
The house has 3 bedrooms.
Okay, so your drain field is about the same size as my drain field, and it's about 24 feet by 4 feet times 2. So it's 8 feet by 24. And all we see is septic system rings, which I'm assuming is,
Well, I gave you the septic plan. That was the.
Okay, but-
Thank you, you handed it to us, and if I can read it.
Yeah, that's that.
it's
Yeah,
impossible.
I mean,
Why
you know,
can't anything be put here?
you put the drain field, show us the drain field on a survey, and then work around where the drain field is.
Yeah.
We agree, you shouldn't put the shed on top of the drain field.
Right.
Correct.
But it strikes us as still being plenty of room to locate a shed without impinging on the drain field.
Well, why don't
That
you,
is,
in your written comments?
that is actually not what we were advised by the people who installed our septic field. That's all I can say. I'm not an expert on this, but that is not what we were advised.
Well, we should get that in written.
Yeah, if-
and on the survey and in written form.
And, you know, then we can if we see it on a survey, then we don't have to have much of a discussion. It must be the most magnificent drain field perhaps ever built.
Well, it is right by water.
But there's more than enough room on this property to put this shed in a conforming place.
I'll be
More than enough
flabbergasted
room.
if it's not true.
What's not true?
There's not enough room on the property to relocate the shed.
If there's not enough room to relocate.
Yeah, in other words, the drain field cannot be as big as the rest of the backyard.
But you wanted additional proof, which we will provide.
Correct.
Yes.
If it's true, yeah. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it ought to be
Well,
moved.
If
we'll
the drain
entertain
field
that.
takes up the entire backyard,
We'll entertain
we'd
this.
like to know.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
I think
I
that's.
think yes, you can do that in written comments. Okay, thank you very much. We will look into this, okay? All right, Carl. So you need to note it on the survey, the drainage field, and if there's been any kind of discussion with the people who installed the septic that is a concern of the owner, you should let us know that as well. And if there is no conforming location, you give us the justification for that
Yeah.
in your written comments.
Yeah, that was the,
Yeah,
that was the
that's-
plan.
That was the plan. Okay, sounds good. All right, this was Bob's, but what are we talking about now in terms of timing?
What time do you think you need?
8:20?
So you're gonna come back? No, we don't wanna do it on written submissions.
Oh, wait, yeah, it's on written submissions.
Yeah,
We
we're
don't
on
need to
written
come back.
submissions.
Yeah, so we're gonna close the hearing with a, how many day comment period do you want?
Well, they have the date, 21st.
Yeah, we have the
Yeah.
dates.
But how do we,
Well, the decision would be on 9/3 with written comments by 8/21.
is that a
And-
motion?
All right.
If I
yes.
need more time, I'll submit a letter to the board to extend written comment.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we're going to, decision on 9/3 with written comments by 8/21. You seconded,
I did.
Mr. Leonard,
Aye, sorry.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Okay, thank you, Carl.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Number 6 on the agenda, Markar Holdings LLC, 1021 Flanders Road, Flanders, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-145-4-6.3 pursuant to the stipulation ordered by the Honorable Christopher Modilewski on November 17, 2025, and filed with the Suffolk County Clerk on November 18, 2025. Applicant appeals the issuance of a stop work order issued June 3rd, 2025, stating among other things that the use of the premises has changed.
Okay. All right, take your time to get settled. All right, I do know you're an attorney because I was introduced to you, but please state your name and address for the file.
Certainly. My name is Allison Lapointe with the firm Sir Tillman Ballin Adler Hyman with offices at 100 Motor Parkway, Hotbug, New York, 11788 on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, Allison, tell us about, we have a number of questions about this, but give us your...
So with your indulgence, I do have a good amount of information I'd like to get into the record, and then I'd be absolutely thrilled to be able to answer as many of the questions as I am able. But as this is a slightly different application as the other ones you've seen this evening, we are appealing an administrative decision made by the building inspector to issue a stop work order on the subject site.
Okay, before you go,
Certainly.
let me just say that what we really want you to focus on is what you are presenting to us, what you specifically want to have your relief be, so that, we don't get into a lot of stuff that's extraneous, but whatever we as a ZBA can discuss and to make a determination on, focus in on what relief you're seeking.
Certainly. So the base of my presentation will be that through interpretations of the town's own zoning code, as well as a prior certificate of occupancy issued in 2011 by this municipality, that the subject use at the site is a continuation of a prior recognized use in the town of Southampton and should be permitted to continue. Now, I do again beg your indulgence. There is a lot of legal information I do need to get into the record for a basis of this. And so it may feel like I'm going a little far afield at times, but again, it's necessary for the purposes of making that interpretation and for the relief of the stop work order.
But as I understand it, the stop work order covered more than that.
That is correct.
Are you addressing any of the other issues or not?
We cannot address any of the other issues until the underlying use of the site is
You mean a
settled.
building permit for?
We cannot obtain a building permit until such a time as the underlying use is sought. We recognize there are a number of other issues in the stop work order that need to be addressed.
Right.
My client would very much like to be able to address those items, but until the underlying use is addressed and solidified, we cannot proceed to go to planning, we cannot proceed to go to building. We cannot proceed with mitigation measures. We're kind of stuck in a limbo location until there's recognition of the underlying use. Is that the clarification that
Yes,
you were
no,
hoping
that's
for?
helpful because there were a lot of other things covered by the stop work order, which, is not going to be part of your
It's not going to be
presentation.
part of the presentation again this evening. Again, what we're strictly seeking right now is the recognition of the town of Southampton that the subject uses on the site are covered, and by uses, I mean the physical activities that are on the site. The underlying use of the site is recognized under a 2011 certificate of occupancy, and therefore we should be permitted to be able to move forward with the other processes to bring the other violations into compliance.
What are those uses? Just to give us our lay of the land.
I will be going into great detail on all of
Yes.
them in my presentation.
Okay.
Let me just clarify.
Certainly.
So, I'm reading on page 1 of the judge's order that the plaintiff is to confirm the legality of some or all of the uses and structures currently on the premises, to legalize any or some of the uses and structures currently on premise, and your representation to us is the only issue you think you need to resolve immediately at first is the underlying, whether that 2011 permit covers the activities presently happening on site.
That is correct, because that would allow us then to move forward to go into the planning department to legalize the new structure that's on site. There was also a clearing issue raised, but again, my client, and I'll go into this in my presentation, when the initial violations were written, went to the planning department and said, okay, what should we do? And the response that came in return was, well, you can't submit an application for this because you don't have, your use is not permitted, so you cannot proceed with that.
Yep.
So we're here for the baseline use, and then from there, if we
Okay.
get the baseline use, we'll be coming back to bring the rest of the property into compliance.
Okay.
So again, I thank you for your indulgence. Again, my name is Allison Lapointe from the firm Sir Tillman Ballard and Adler Hyman. I'm here on behalf of Marcar Holdings LLC, which is the owner of 1021 Flanders Road in Flanders, also known as Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-145-4-6.3. We are here before this board appealing the stop work order issued against the property on June 3rd, 2025, which states that the use of the property had changed and essentially that a new certificate of occupancy is required. For the record, I've submitted the following documents. Certificate of occupancy number C110124 dated June 8th, 2011. An affidavit by Patrick Bistrian III, the prior owner and operator of the property. A newspaper article from News Review dated January 15th, 2004. Historic aerial photographs of the site from the year of 2001, 2004, 2011, and 2021. Town of Southampton Code Sections 330-421, 160-1, and 330-1. A 2001 Part 360 registration for the prior owner. A 2024 Part 360 registration for the current operator, CMM Landscape Supply, Inc., a memo regarding the derogation of property rights, and that is the list of the documents that have been submitted into the
And
record.
these were submitted to us tonight, is
That's
that
correct.
correct? So we
Yes.
haven't had a chance to look them over.
Certainly
Okay. Just wanna be
understood, and
clear about
I
that.
would by no means expect that to all to be ingested while I'm up here speaking, certainly. In terms of history, my client purchased the property from the prior owners and operators on June 4th of 2024. He did so with the intent of continuing the existing activities on the site of soil screening, concrete crushing, composting, and mulching. Upon obtaining ownership of the site, my client sought and was granted a Part 360 registration, which you have in your file. This registration would have been a simple transfer from the prior owner, but as the timing of that last registration was about to expire, a new application was submitted with no substantial change to the request to the DEC. My clients then proceeded to make site improvements, including upgrading the entranceway and gate, grading and configuration of an office, and the remainder of the site. Many of those are some of the items that were listed in the stop work order. Upon notifications from the town, my client reached out to the town planning department to try to rectify the issue, and it was, as I mentioned, notified that the underlying use was in his way of moving forward with that process. Violations were issued, and on June 3rd, 2025, a stop work order was issued. My firm was retained and sought to work with the town regarding a path forward, and in November of 2025, the town sought a temporary restraining order in New York State Supreme Court. As per the stipulation that you have in your files, so ordered by Judge Modeleski, this was filed with the county clerk on November 18th, 2025. We brought application to this body and are seeking relief from said stop work order with the argument that the existing use of the site is covered and protected under Certificate of Occupancy Number C110124. So to get a little bit more in depth in the use, overall idea of this use is actually a very public policy positive use. These activities that take place on the subject site are incredibly important to the environment as well as to the town. The subject site recycles materials from construction sites and landscaping debris from residential and commercial properties and turns them into new building materials used in the town and across the island. My client estimates that approximately 70 to 75% of the materials brought on the site and brought off the site are from within the town of Southampton.
If I could, what were the four things? You said soil screening, mulching?
Concrete crushing
Uh-huh.
and composting.
And are those generalized descriptions of what you're discussing right now is
Yes.
the use? Concrete crushing, and I'm sorry, what was the last one?
Composting.
Composting.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'll get into more detail of what is brought on, how it's processed, and how it's taken off shortly. Without the uses like these, the same material would end up in landfills, and the cost of removing same and the services provided by town of Southampton businesses would go up. These costs, of course, would then be passed on to the consumer. Additionally, trucking these materials out of the town of Southampton would also increase congestion on already busy roadways. More specifically with the use, the subject site accepts concrete, rock, brick, asphalt, pavement, or millings, uncontaminated soil, sand, gravel, and rock, as well as wood, brush, branches, trees, stumps, and other yard waste. Trimming and yard waste. For the soil screening, which comes from local excavation, construction grading, pools, and foundations, this material is brought on site and then screened, sorted into topsoil, into granular fill, and to other construction or landscape specification materials. The concrete recycling stems from patios, concrete block, brick, and asphalt. These components are recycled to create a concrete aggregate used as a base layer for roadways and parking lots. And if it also involves brick and asphalt, that becomes RCA, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. In terms of the mulching and composting, wood, brush, branches, trees, and stumps are brought onto the site and recycled into mulch, and the yard trimmings become compost. Moving forward with this presentation, we'll be describing these uses as Part 360 activities as a global term, as these uses have a required Part 360 registration from the New York State DEC. In terms of the overall history of the subject site was utilized as a sand mine going back beyond 1957. It has had numerous operators over the years. The most recent owner and operator prior to my client's ownership has knowledge of the site starting in the early 1980s. As you can see from the affidavit from Patrick Bistrian III, it outlines the prior use of the site, including Part 360 activities, which continue on the site today. The prior owner has personal knowledge of the site going back to the 1980s and operated the Part 360 activities from 1986 until he sold the property to our client in 2024. As set forth in the affidavit, the subject Part 360 activities existed on the site prior to his tenure and continued uninterrupted and undeterred until after the sale of the property. In terms of the certificate of occupancy, the certificate of occupancy C110124 was issued by the town of Southampton on June 8th, 2011. At this time, the mine was in operation, and the soil screening, concrete crushing, composting, and mulching activities were also in operation. As mentioned, these activities are regulated by the state under a Part 360 registration. The subject site has maintained consistent Part 360 registrations since 2001 and has completed their yearly reporting and routine inspections. Prior to 2001, the level of Part 360 activities did not meet the threshold that required said registration. We put forth that the 2011 CO, which reads generally, sand and gravel mine uses, covers the existing use of the property, and thus the operation of the Part 360 activities should be permitted to continue.
Can you read that last sentence one more time?
Certainly. I'll do the whole
We
little paragraph.
put forth.
We put forth that the 2011 CO, which reads generally, sand and gravel mine uses, covers the existing use of the property, and thus the operation of the Part 360 activities should be permitted to continue. As evidenced in the enclosed affidavit, the past owner and operator was permitted to continue the Part 360 activities for the entire time of their tenure. It is our understanding that no violations were received for these activities while owned by the previous owner. It is further our understanding that no violations were received for these activities during the reclamation process of the mine, nor were violations received for these activities after the reclamation process was complete. We respectfully submit that the reason the prior owner was permitted to continue their Part 360 operations without interruption, without the questioning of their validity, or with attempts to shut down these activities, is because the use was proper and legal under the 2011 Certificate of Occupancy. We believe this conclusion is further supported by the town's own code. We respectfully submit that the town code recognizes that Part 360 activities are part and parcel and a common historic co-located use with mining uses. Section 160-1 of the town's code, entitled Mining and/or Land Reclamation, contains a definition for mining, but then contains a separate definition for commercial activities. Commercial activities are defined as activities involving the acquisition, processing, storage, and/or sale of materials that are taking place or have historically taken place at mine sites, other than such activities that are or have been directly undertaken for the processing or reclamation of such terms herein, which means that in this section of code, there's a definition of the mining use where the processing of materials relates strictly to things you've taken out of the ground as part of the mine. But this section, which again is entitled Mining and/or Land Reclamation, also recognizes that a common co-located use at these sites also includes the bringing in of materials, the processing of materials, and then the removal of those materials for sale under the definition of commercial activities. We put forth that the commercial activities referenced in this definition of acquisition, processing, storage, and/or sale of materials at a mine site are exactly the Part 360 activities that have operated and been co-located at this site without disruption. As the town recognizes in its own code these uses, and that these uses are historically co-located at mine sites, it is perfectly reasonable that the 2001 Certificate of Occupancy covers and protects these activities as they were active and present at the site at the time of issuance. Further, the subject Part 360 activities were not expressly discontinued under Section 330 of the Town Code entitled Non-Conforming Sand Mine Amortization, which was added to your code, as I know you know quite well, April 8th, 2025, under Local Law Number 13-2025. In defining the uses that were amortized in this section, the town only addresses mining operations. No other commercial activities, which represent the Part 360 activities, were addressed, even though those uses were recognized in Section 160 by this municipality 3 years earlier. We further submit that the subject use was not ever defined as an accessory use under the code of the town of Southampton. As per Section 330-5, accessory use, building, or structure is defined as a subordinate use, building, or structure customarily incidental to and located on the same lot occupied by a main use, building, or structure. Nothing in Section 160 indicates that commercial activities are defined therein and deemed subordinate or incidental to mining. Their language rather states that these activities involving the acquisition, processing, storage, and/or sale of materials are taking place or have historically taken place at mine sites. As set forth in the affidavit from Patrick Bistrian III, neither the mining nor the Part 360 activities were subordinate or accessory to each other during the operation of the mine. This is further evidenced by the continuation of these activities during and after the reclamation process, which concluded in 2020. In terms of how this body interprets the code, I know this body knows quite well, that in the interpretation of code and the certificate of occupancy, that is well settled that zoning regulations, being a derogation of the common law, are to be strictly construed in favor of the landowners. We have submitted a memo outlining the leading cases that support this conclusion. As the town's own definitions in Section 160 of the code recognizes the Part 360 activities as a co-located common use, it is clear that this body should interpret Certificate of Occupancy C110124 to cover and protect these same activities. In terms of the operation and the town's notice, the prior owner was able to operate these exact same activities undisturbed by the town of Southampton. The subject activities that are currently at the site are simply a continuation of said undisturbed and uninterrupted use that was present and in full operation at the time of certificate of occupancy. This further supports the interpretation that the use is covered and protected by the 2001 certificate of occupancy. This is evidenced by the affidavit, again, from Patrick Bistrian III, that the chief building inspector, I'm going to ruin this name, and I apologize, Benecasis, B-E-N-E.
Benicasa.
Benicasas, thank you, I apologize, inspected the site prior to the issuance of the 2011 CO, and that the Part 360 operations were operational during said inspection. I also direct your attention to a newspaper article from the News Review dated January 15th, 2004, wherein the following was quoted. The site appears to be used for sand mining, piles of crushed concrete and asphalt, and even compost piles. Further in the article is a quote from Paul Houlihan, the head of the building department, who said, "The town doesn't take a role in sand mining applications and leaves that to the state's jurisdiction." The conclusion of this article is that though the neighbors had some complaints about the operation, that the operation was legal. The town was clearly on notice of the subject uses even prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy, and they did not take any steps to disrupt the use. Our client relied in good faith upon the town of Southampton's prior actions and inactions relating to the uses of the subject property, and upon the certificate of occupancy in purchasing the site in 2024 and continuing operations thereon. It would be inequitable to hold our client to a different standard than the prior owner. In conclusion, as set forth in the submissions before the board, the affidavit from Patrick Bistrian III, and the testimony before this body, we put forth that the 2011 certificate of occupancy establishes the legality of the Part 360 activities, and respectfully request that this board overturn the stop work order in as far as there was no change of use at the subject site, and therefore a new certificate of occupancy for said uses is not required. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
If I could just,
Go
I
ahead,
would
John,
love
but-
for you to put that
I will
into
happily make a
the
memorandum to
record
submit.
and
Yes.
submit that to us, because I
I will reconfigure this into
need to
a
read it
memorandum.
multiple times.
I don't doubt it. I know that was a lot of words, and sometimes a
Yes.
lot of words can feel like word salad, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Allison, I have a question about
Certainly.
the certificate of occupancy.
Certainly.
It makes reference to a per affidavit of Vivian Jeske dated
Yes.
May, what is that? Do you have that?
I do not have a copy of that.
We need to see a copy
Okay.
of that. I would like to know what that affidavit says. It's a lot for us to digest. You know, we have some concerns, obviously. We perhaps will have a disagreement with you on the interpretation of various sections of the code and the uses and non-uses and when they started and stopped. I'm sure that's all going to be part of the record. Kevin, did you want to say something?
A couple of things. In the memo that John asked you to produce, there have been a number of changes within state law as it relates to what DEC had supremacy over, and then changes that said local governments now have, DEC can't issue a permit that a local government hasn't concurred with. or some version of that. It's not exactly
The town
that.
has the right
Yeah.
to overrule it, yeah.
So there have been some changes in state law in, I don't know, the last 10 years that may have an influence on the narration that you just gave us, and I would like to see you address those and how you either accept them or reject them and why.
That's a good point.
Certainly.
Also, you said, you did make reference to the fact that there was a continued use of the mulching and the concreting and the blah, blah, blah. There is evidence of that?
Well, we do have the affidavit that was submitted. We can also provide for you, the Part 60 registrations require a yearly reporting that goes back to the DEC, showing what materials brought on and what material was taken off.
Does it also include the mulching and?
Yes, so the mulching and so right now, under the existing permit, as you'll see in your paperwork, the concrete and the soil are at a volume that requires the registration. The composting and the mulching are below the levels that are regulated, but at the same time, we have to show.
And this is
that it is.
DEC.
This is DEC.
This is going to
correct.
what, Kevin's comment was, that, there are certain overriding considerations that towns have about some of these aspects of.
Certainly understand.
It's almost ancient history. There was a time when local governments had not much to say, which is why the law was changed. Were you going to say something, Anthony?
No, just, she correctly stated, planning has looked at this when they came to us. We submitted a letter raising a question about the use. Obviously, planning staff has to go through this, since planning is deeply involved. Obviously, they've given some aerials as evidence for the record as well. I'm going to look at that and do some interpretation to get some type of timeframe. But staff is going to be looking at this information as well.
Because, discontinuance of a non-conforming use means the non-conforming use gets discontinued.
We certainly understand, and please know that the reason that there are only 4 aerials, I can certainly submit more, are because those are 3 of those years are years mentioned in the affidavit, indicating that these uses were in continuous operation. So those, I wanted to provide the aerial that went along with those. If you're looking at the.
We need evidence beyond an affidavit. Okay.
So the other thing that struck me, I actually spent some time going through this, and I appreciate you spent much more. And,
Sure.
I looked at all the aerial photos that were available in the town's GIS system, and there's a period of time between 2020 and 2024 where it looks like the former sand mine is fully reclaimed.
Yeah.
It looks like the topography has been evened out. You can see the grass growing.
Right.
And it didn't take a great stretch of imagination to imagine how happy the neighbors finally were. And then I clicked on the 2025 aerial photo, and I felt like I had clicked on the wrong year because I felt like I was back in 1973. And so it's like, well, what would be the point of reclaiming a mine use to then dig it all up again and crush everything else that's coming in and mixing it with that? So there's something kind of a little not right that it strikes me without going through everything you've just said and the other side of the argument. But, there's a real concern about the magnitude and the scope of the operation, and I don't.
So that's why we need.
Certainly.
We need a review by the planning. We need some more information from you.
If I can make one other point too, because this came up in some other amortization cases. It's one thing to say we used to crush some stone, and then maybe we'd sell it, and it was the size no bigger than this room. And it's another thing to now take it's the question of you might have had a use, and the question is it now, does that use then say, I get to do that use everywhere?
And I think you do it without mining. It's one thing, if you have a mining operation and then you're doing this on the side, as opposed to just doing this with no mining.
So I'd like to, again, put on the record, as I mentioned in my statement, both within the affidavit of the prior owner, as well as what's recognized in the town's own code, this has never been, you're doing this on the side of the mining. Neither of those uses were ever subordinate or incidental to each other. The second point I'd like to make is to your point regarding during the timeline of the reclamation, you'll find in the affidavit from the prior owner that during those times, yes, the Part 360 uses had to be moved out of that area to do the reclamation as required through the DEC. They were moved to other portions of the property. So what you'll also see in that affidavit from the prior owner is, by the very nature of the use and the machinery that's used, these uses do migrate around the property. And depending on, and again, you'll find that in the affidavit, depending on the volume of the market needs in a particular year, there is some fluctuation in volume from year to year. It's like saying if you have a non-conforming restaurant that has, the X amount of space, and some years you have quiet years, some years you have busier years, that it doesn't mean that we're changing the use. It's just that market has different requirements. I do understand your concerns. We will certainly circle back and make sure that we respond to all of that, and we'll put it in writing for you.
I'm having a little bit of trouble with the whole idea that commercial activities as identified in 160 is not incidental to the mine site. The whole purpose of Chapter 160 is not to identify what's incidental and what's not in terms of mining and commercial activities, but to identify what kinds of groundwater monitoring programs have to be implemented at mine sites where mining is occurring and/or other commercial activities. So I think, my challenge to you is, if I were to just look at 160 and consider this statutory scheme itself, I don't see where it does identify, it certainly doesn't identify explicitly that commercial activities is not an incidental use of a mine site. And so I would like to know where beyond 160 you're getting that interpretation of the code.
I think that's a very good point. Anybody else on the board who wishes to, look, there's clearly an enormous amount of material here for us to go through. This isn't going to be a quick process.
We
And we
understand
have,
that.
and
You're in it for the
we have
long haul.
a lot of people who really wish to be heard on
certainly.
this matter, so.
I will happily get out of your way.
But you now, no, you don't have to, well, you can move over.
I'll leave the space for commenters and.
Okay, but you've gotten some of we may have some more additional stuff to ask you after we hear from the public.
Certainly fine. Thank you.
Okay, all right, so listen, you have to organize yourselves and come up, remember, we're gonna really try to stick to 3 minutes, it's now 8:35, so. Okay. Oh, you're coming up together?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening.
Hi.
Thank you for listening to us.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, lawyers?
No.
Okay, swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please individually state your names and addresses.
Jacqueline,
Oh, go ahead, Kath.
Kathleen Kruel, Kruel, 108 Albany Avenue, Flanders, New York.
Sure, that's fine. Kathleen, you with it, okay?
KRU, yes.
Kathleen with the K.
Yes.
Got it.
Jacqueline McKay, 104 East Street in Flanders.
I know that's my name.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, so, all right, so we're gonna try to really,
Then you can do the pictures.
Oh, no, let me see.
just,
I
one
had
at
something
a time.
prepared to say. I wrote it out,
you
but
can always submit that as a written
I'm
comment.
going to, because I have
Okay.
pictures.
Okay, great.
I bought my house in 2011. There was nothing going on, like the
And where is
attorney-
your house? Just describe where your property is.
My house is directly behind the sand pit. This is out my back door.
If I were to look at the survey, well, hold on a second.
If you look and see Polk Street,
Okay.
and then it's like on a diagonal, they are literally behind my house.
Okay, so you're on the street, not on Flanders Road, you're on the other. Okay, gotcha.
And the grinding of the concrete, the mulching, the smell, the noise, the shaking of the houses was never like that from 2011. 2020, I spoke to a guy that was doing the reclamation. He said, we're doing reclamation. Okay, 2 years ago, my house started shaking. I have sound videos of that. I have video of when they worked till 10 o'clock at night. I called the police. 10 o'clock at night in the sand pit with Klieg lights and clanging. A lot of people have kids. No fence around the sand pit. I can walk into the sand pit. The berms that are behind my house, DEC told me they are illegal because they're supposed to cut down on the sound. They don't. The end of June, I went outside to try and read a book, get a little few sun rays, you know. The stench was disgusting. I found out they were grinding up yard waste. Okay, I went away, I came back. The stench was like manure 10 times over. I texted the owner. I haven't heard back from him yet. That was the end of June. It's disgusting. I hang my clothes out because I like the fresh air. I got to shake them off because they're grinding concrete, which was in my backyard. My house was shaking. It's not fair. It wasn't there when I bought my house. If it had been, I wouldn't have bought my house. I worked.
What year did you buy it again?
2011.
Oh, interesting.
I worked for Southampton Town Justice Court for 26 years.
Uh-huh.
I retired 3 years ago. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. This is not acceptable to anybody that lives in Flanders. It's a residential area.
God bless
This
you.
is a business that came in, and I spoke with the owner because I had a meeting with him, with Billy Pell, his other partner, and my boyfriend. And I asked him point blank, would you like this in your backyard? He said no, but we have it in ours.
Okay, I appreciate it if you could put that all in writing and submit it to us.
So you bought the house in 2011, nothing was happening
It
then?
was quiet back there.
Okay, when did it all start up again?
You mean like present day?
When did the activity start?
Activity.
This activity, now that we're here for, started 2 years ago. Because that's when I first noticed the shaking in my house, literally. Everything was shaking. Even a couple months ago, I have a sound video of my house shaking.
Okay.
It started in 2024. In 2020, like I said, they were doing the reclamation, because I spoke to the poor guy that was out there freezing his butt off, telling me what they were doing with the reclamation, with this grass seed and all that. I apologize for going off my script here, but
It's okay.
what she said, it wasn't like that.
Okay, well, we're going to try to get to the bottom of that.
So it
Okay.
was your understanding that reclamation was occurring and it was not going to be used for any mining purpose?
Right, and I was also told that this was the only sand pit that closed down on Long Island that didn't have to be shut down. I worked in the court. I know about sand land, that it took a long time, you know, and it's just not fair.
Hi,
Kathleen?
I'm the co-chairman of the Northampton Riverside Flanders Citizens Advisory Committee, and we got involved to help the community, the people in there. I have walked door to door, met quite a few people from East Street, Maple, and we went to Chauncey. We have a woman here that has a small child that we went and talked to her. Her and her husband are here. She was very upset. She has a little girl. She's pregnant again. And she said she went outside and the dust from them doing the concrete was so bad, they had to go back inside because they couldn't breathe. And when she went inside, she blew her nose and it was black coming from her nostrils. And here she's pregnant again. We also found online Part 360 and mine land restrictions. This is in Southampton, a code. It says Long Island restrictions. Facilities like composting, mulch processing, and construction or demolition debris recovery and are banned from Long Island mine sites. And that was online about it. I had someone also tell me, I've been in my house for 40 years, and we never had a problem with the sand pits. We never had 18-wheelers coming back and forth all day long, pulling in and out. And the kids used to call it the pits. That's why when they talk about it, we call it the pits, because the kids used to go in there and ride their bikes over the dirt that they had in there. The kids used to play in there all the time. what I see going on now, I never imagined we would have that. This pit is surrounded by homes and people that live in there, people that just bought their house. And they said, we moved in here and now we're like, did we choose wrong? Because we deal with this every day.
And you can't resell it.
The banging, the noise, the smell of the mulch, which the fire department also let us know, because we went to them about the mulch, because it has chemicals in it. If it catches fire, they can't put it out. They have to stay there until it burns out. So all these chemicals are going in the air and hitting every single person that lives around this pit. There are people further over that can hear the noise too during the day. I don't. I have 5 dogs and 9 birds, and they're screaming all day long. So I don't hear anything in my house. But there are people that live there, and they're really being affected by this. People that lived there for as long as I have and said, I can't take it anymore. They're at the end of their rope with this. Also, just one more thing. I was also informed from one person that I walked around. He said, I'd take you back there, but it's so far, it's like scary to look over. He said, there was a pond there. I remember that pond because the kids used to talk about it. We're going to pits and going by the pond.
It was in some of the aerials.
It's in the top.
Yeah, it was in some of the aerials.
Yeah, well, they also said that they were watching them move the sand over and move the sand over and move the sand over, closing in the pond. And they called DEC, and the DEC has been going out, taking photos of it regularly because they had them put a fence around it. They said they're just pushing the sand through the fence and closing that up too.
If you have access to the town's GIS system and you go through
Okay.
mid-1990s all the way to today, you can see that while they were mining, they were hitting groundwater. So the pond was groundwater.
Yes.
And the reclamation required that be backfilled because they didn't want the groundwater table exposed.
All right, because
in-
there's a pond, they said the pond was there again.
It could be, but,
There's a reason why they may have been covering it.
yeah, it may not have been
So-
Well, the
anything.
DEC said they weren't
So you were
allowed
there
to.
since the 80s?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And so there was mining activity?
Never heard anything. Never heard anything.
Not heard, but
Never saw it.
seen?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nothing. It was very quiet. We didn't even know it was there. My kids kept saying, we're going with the other kids and we're going to pits. I said, what is a pit? They said, down the road. I never knew what it was.
Okay. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Next.
I'm not anymore.
My name is James Conkell.
Are you an attorney?
No, I'm not.
Let me swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, hold on one second. Okay. Candace, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is James Conkell, Konkel. I live at 179 Maple Avenue in Flanders. My property line is approximately 130 feet from CMM's property line. This house has been in my family for 73 years. I'm very familiar with the area. Just real quick, that pond that they were just talking about, there was a small spring-fed pond right across the street from my house that they're talking about. The ones that were created from digging, mining, they did fill those back in, but there was a pond there for as long as I can remember. But we need your help here. This place is not a good neighbor. It is not what it once was. There used to be a small little narrow road going into the place that trucks would travel in. Now it's 2 lanes going in and out. The noise, it's quite loud. You hear tailgates banging 6 a.m. The latest I've recorded is 8:40 at night. The stench sometimes, you cannot go outside. And I'm not kidding. I called code enforcement many times. They have gone down there and realized, yeah, there's a problem. It stops for a couple days and then it's back. And when I tell you you cannot breathe this stuff in, I'm not kidding you. And I'm probably 300 feet from where they're actual doing the grinding and stuff. The dust is a serious issue. The hours of operation. This guy, seriously, 6 AM starts and goes on till, gosh, maybe 9 o'clock at night some nights.
And when did this operation start?
This has been going on, this is the second full summer of this going on that I've.
After the
So just-
acquisition in '24.
Yeah, all right, so
So-
from 20, but before then, did you?
Before that, no. I would say many years ago, you'd hear a payloader once in a while. The stockpile of debris, sand, mulch. You heard of mulch fires, I'm sure. There's certainly a big risk for that. And the one mulch pile is literally right on houses' property lines. How this is not a serious risk without any kind of fire suppression systems or anything, or I don't understand how this is legal. I don't know.
James, can you kind of wrap up, because we
Sure,
have other
absolutely.
people?
So, again, if, whatever you guys can do, look into this, whatever, we need your help. This is a serious, I know one thing, no, I would have a hard time trying to sell my house with that going on. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, are you an attorney?
No, I'm not.
All right, let me swear you in. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Susan Tucci, own a home at 23 Golden Leaf Trail in Flanders, but my father lives at 87 East Street, where we grew up. We've been there for generations, and 6 generations in Flanders. When they talk about the pit, that was our playground. That wasn't
Sorry, Susan, before you finish, I just need the spelling of your last name.
Tocci.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, my asthma has been very bad. I'm all for businesses. I've been a small business owner my whole life. And Flanders Riverside is, the most economically disadvantaged area. We are property rich, tax base poor, and I'm all for a business and, utilizing the property. But what's happened in the last 2 years is absolutely unacceptable. Like I said, my father's at 87 East Street. He's right across, the person that spoke first, Jackie, he lives right across from her. And if I pull up, I literally cannot get out of the car. I've been carrying a jar of Vicks in my car to try to hold in front of my nose to go into his house. That's how bad the stench is. You can see the debris, the stuff floating in the air. And I'm in his house, I'm here, he's in rehab in home care right now, and he was doing everything to get here. I wouldn't take him out because I thought it would be in the best interest of all of us. But it's unacceptable. They built those homes there. What has made Flanders Flanders are these families right here speaking. We have been part of our community. A chief of the volunteer ambulance, I was over 20 years. We have done everything to keep our neighborhood nice. And, he's not being neighborly. He's not being a good business. When you put 100-foot mulch pile right on the line, and like Jimmy Kunkel said, the risk of a fire there, we're in the Pine Barrens. There is no suppression. We're in big trouble if that goes up. So I really would hope that you guys really consider. I understand he bought the property. It wasn't what was being done in that property, because I can vouch when she says 20, what'd she say? I was 13 years old. We were driving our dirt bikes on that property, playing softball on that property. Vivian Jeske, you mentioned, she made the food for everyone to play, her kids to play the softball on that property. None of this was going on, none of it.
All right, thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
I'm not an attorney.
Okay. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Elaine Feerick, Feerick, and I live at 99 Boston Avenue in Massapequa. And I'm speaking on behalf of my mom sitting here, and we have a house, 98 East Street. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak tonight on an issue that has affected my family for over 50 years. This is the first time we've ever been notified of any kind of a hearing having regards to do with anything that has gone on in the back of the pit. And I am here to tell you, and revealing my age in the process, I remember when there was no pit back there. My grandfather purchased our property in the 1940s as hunting land and later built the bungalow that has been our family summer home ever since. The mining operation behind our property predates its current owners, but the harm it has caused is very much ongoing. And I could say my mom brought my sister out there. We have 5 kids. My sister was born in 1974, and that's when the mining really started, and it became a sand pit. Today, if you stood at the back of our house, you would see no trees and no sky. Only a mound of excavated dirt as tall as the tree line once was. I kid you not, it's unbelievable. The site emits a persistent rancid odor, which I understand comes from composting operations on the property. Heavy equipment runs constantly and the noise is unrelenting, and I'm a little confused as to the stop work order because there has been no work stoppage at all because it's been continuous. More seriously, the excavation has caused measurable harm to the air quality and the health, right? As people have been stating, the dust from the site is a constant presence in the air, raising real health concerns for everybody nearby. I mean, this is our backyard. I mean, it's unbelievable. The water table, digging at the depth, it did at one point, and that was probably, years ago in the 80s, it did affect the local water because they did go too deep and they went into the water table. So that already has been marred, all those years ago. Our property line erosion, its ongoing excavation continues to erode our property boundary with no retaining measures at all, no fencing, no barriers installed to protect any of the properties along this line, and public safety. The drop-off at our property line is now steep enough that anybody who fell from it would have no way to climb back up. This is an unmarked, unprotected fall hazard immediately adjacent to residential homes. And, God forbid a kid goes back there and falls down, nobody would find them.
Are you talking 10 feet, 20 feet? What kind of, as best you can
Yeah,
estimate?
probably about 20 to 30 feet. I mean, it's.
I'm just trying to
yeah,
understand.
And I'm sorry, there's no fencing?
No, none. It's, we've been screaming from the mountaintops. My mom has been making phone calls long before there was email, writing letters, everything. Nobody has ever, the cops would come out, people would come out, and nothing was ever done about it. I'm so grateful that we actually get a chance to just tell you what's going on here.
Can I just ask one question? You
Sure.
said that the activities have continued?
Yes.
It's still in operation now?
Yes.
It's doing grinding
Yes.
and mulching?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's what I said before.
They're allowed to continue under the stop work order. With the judge's order, I thought allowed them to continue certain operations.
I thought we might have a difference of opinion.
Mark, do you have it?
So just wrapping it up, what began as a hole behind a hunting property has over decades become an unpermitted in-spirit industrial operation surrounded by residential homes. My family has been unable to use or enjoy the house my grandfather built, and we can no longer really go out there at all. We just go out there for basic maintenance because of the smell, the noise, and the sight of what amounts to an industrial waste site in our backyard. So I'm just asking you, please really look into this. Tell us what we need to do, because this is terrible. And for the future generations, I played back there. My kids, my future grandchildren, I will not bring them out there because it's my mom can't go out there. It's horrible.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you.
All right. Can I just have a show of hands of how many more people wish to speak? Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak on this matter?
Besides you. Do you wish to speak?
Yes, of course.
I am not a lawyer.
Ladies, either
Take it
step
outside,
out or.
please.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Potter, Potter.
I'm sorry,
I bought
your
my
first name?
house March 2000. I live 88 East Street, 2 doors down from Jackie and across the street from Susan's dad. That young lady said that that activity has been ongoing, and that is just simply not true. There were years where nothing happened back there except kids playing in a puddle after it rained. The noise, everything they've described is completely true. You can't use your yard. The stink, you walk in your house after coming home from work, and you think you left something rancid in the garbage. It's horrible. I got a huge crack in my foundation. I have a cement block foundation from all the heavy machinery moving back there, vibrating in the house, the dishes rattling in the cupboard. It's ugly. So I hope something can be done about it.
Okay, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard?
No one on Zoom.
No one?
Okay, I just want to note, I'm looking at the stipulation right now. It says that within 40 to 5 days, Mark Har agrees to move its grinding operation approximately 300 feet away from East Street. Crushing and grinding operations are limited to 9 AM to 3 PM, Monday through Friday.
It doesn't say anything
I
about
don't
mulching?
say anything about mulching,
Right, composting?
and it doesn't say anything about composting.
Okay, I agree, that's what my, okay.
And there's just, so, another thing I'm noticing is that I would like some discussion of is this September 2024 letter from the DEC.
Right.
Hold on, let me get to it. I mean, it states, okay, so there's, attached to it is this Division of Materials Management registration for a solid waste management facility, which identifies registered activity as a concrete, rock, or asphalt pavement or millings, uncontaminated soil, so all these different activities. The actual letter itself states, enclosed is a validated copy of your 6 NYCRR Part 360 registration, which becomes effective, blah, blah, blah. This letter only acknowledges receipt of your registration form and does not in any way verify that the information which you provided on the form is true or correct.
That's right.
So that means that this form simply says whatever it is that the applicant wanted it to say at the time, and it's not vetted by any other authority. That, to me, is a problem.
Yeah.
That needs to be
I think
addressed.
there are a couple of issues that we're going to have to grapple with on this. It's, that's one of many. So.
Yeah, but let's start identifying, I think, and
It's a
we're doing
little
a good
hard
job.
for me to identify other questions I might have until I've had an opportunity to
Yes.
review the
Oh,
materials.
absolutely.
Absolutely reasonable.
And-
Absolutely.
And so, let's talk about how we're going to proceed, because this is going to require some consideration on our part with some time.
Yes.
And,
Maybe some experts.
yeah, and, you know, we're going to look to council to provide us with some interpretations that you have suggested, and whether he agrees or doesn't agree. And we're going to be doing a lot of research, and we appreciate the fact that the neighborhood has come out to make known their concerns, and they are very serious concerns. So,
Susan, before you move forward, did you ask if anyone was on Zoom?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
I did, thank you very much, I did, actually. I usually
I don't know if I
don't.
missed it, so.
No, I usually don't, so, yeah.
You were 6 for 6 today.
Yeah, okay, good. So what are we talking about in terms of timing here?
Well,
mean, all right, go ahead. You
Yeah, I
wanna
know,
say something?
it relates to the timing. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
we need a lot of time to digest. I have an ongoing concern, and I do wonder if it's within our province to speak to the code enforcement folks. If there is an ongoing hazard at the site or ongoing violations, and I'm not in a position to make the judgment, I don't have the expertise, nor is it within our remit. But some of the things I heard from the audience really
Concerning,
concern me.
yeah.
And I think we need some guidance immediately from someone in the town to tell us whether, in fact, there needs to be fencing, there's a hazard that a child may fall down a 10 to 20-foot abyss, whatever
You have
this
to-
is.
You have to fence your pools, so, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's
So, I mean, whatever timing we talk about, and Mark, maybe we're gonna need help from you to figure out, like, how does the town address, is there an urgent safety need that has to be considered that isn't necessarily a zoning board issue per se?
Yeah. And I think that in the past, Katie has referred some stuff to code enforcement where there's been a question.
I believe there are 5 or 6 pending charges. I think a restraining order was sought and denied in the past. And now, as Kevin and John referred to the stipulation, which has a couple of different provisions in it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a little bit gray.
Yeah, I
But,
think it's very gray,
And we're well
actually, the
past the
stipulation.
45-day
So let's
period.
take a
It's
look
almost
at
a
that.
year old. But yeah, there's definitely a number of things that can be done.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I have already been in contact with the town attorney about discussing mitigation measures. We recognize that through this deliberation process and beyond, this is not going to be a quick answer. My client is certainly open and willing to make as many mitigation measures that are practical at this time. That said, certainly safety concerns would be the number one concern that needs to be mitigated. But at the same time, we do recognize that between the stipulation and the fact that appeals to the Zoning Board of Appeals do stay enforcement actions as a matter of town law, we recognize that we are still open and willing to work with the town to mitigate as many of the concerns as we can in the interim, recognizing that until the underlying use is approved, going through a site plan to do full mitigation with final layouts, et cetera, can't be broached.
So I would just say in response to that, site plan aside, everything else aside, if you and your client believe there may be an ongoing safety hazard at the site, so long as mitigating that wouldn't violate any court order, I would think, for my purposes, it would be the kind of thing I would recommend you do promptly.
Certainly.
Just do it.
Yeah. All right, having said that there is an immediacy to some of the concerns of the neighbors, which I think are legitimate, and you'll look into them and come up with whatever you need to do. What are we talking about here in terms of, Mark, you have some guidance on, I mean, this is gonna take us a while to go through.
Yes.
And we're gonna, need some help from you, obviously, on some of this stuff, too. What are we talking about, Candace, in terms of timing? I mean, we have as you know, since you sat through our entire meeting, we've
Play
got,
safe wanted to go to October 1st.
yeah. I think that's,
The other West Hampton properties on 9/17. And then you also may have Miyako on 9/3. Depends on how long you
All
want
right,
to stay here.
all right. So I'm thinking October 1st.
I think 9/3.
I'm relieved you didn't say the 20th or the 3rd. I have competing hearings on both of those nights. I believe I am fully available on October 1st, and if not, I will
You'll
make
make
myself
yourself
available.
Okay. All right, so I think we're going to hold this over until October 1st. And we need submissions if you're going to, you're going to submit the briefing that John had requested, and we're going to.
Yeah, your comments, I'd love to see those in writing.
I did offer a number of other documents, and I have a list. We've taken extensive notes, and we know we can watch this again.
Oh, yeah.
From our desktop to gain.
And that one affidavit I mentioned to you. In addition, I would like the community to also, to put things in writing and submit them to us so we have a complete file on this matter.
And one other thing that I'd like to hear from you is the certificate of occupancy states that the use is a sand and gravel mine use. Then you go on to say that these Part 360 uses are not subordinate or accessory to the mine uses. So then I want to hear why it is you think that if it's not subordinate and accessory to the sand and mine use, why is it not identified specifically on the certificate of occupancy
Very
as a
good
separate
point.
extra use?
I did go into
Excellent
that during my presentation. That'll be in that memorandum,
Please.
absolutely.
'Cause that's a
Certainly.
very good
But again,
point, John.
word salad.
And I would like a factual clarity on, if the mine was reclaimed and the topography was set to the satisfaction of DEC sometime around 2019, And for 4 years, it was sort of flat and stable. And are you mining again? Not you personally. Well, but somebody's digging something, and what does that constitute? If debris is being brought in and it's being mixed, what is it being mixed with? And I mean, the aerial photo for 2025, I don't know
very
what,
different.
I don't know what a qualified expert would be to say, it looks pretty flat still. It looks like a moonscape. So somebody's digging something, and I don't know if that's called this digging without mining, which is clever, or what it is, but there's a lot of earth getting moved there.
Okay, and planning is also going to be looking into
Yeah,
this.
planning staff, I don't think this is a planning board referral.
No, no,
It's
no,
more of a
planning staff
as
is gonna-
advisor,
Right.
Absolutely. And so, all right, so we need submissions if we have an October 1st, but
I
we're,
was going to ask you about a written submission. I was actually just looking at the
Yeah,
dates.
I mean-
And I don't know if it's going to give you enough time. Because even if, I think giving you to the end of the month, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough time to submit to me what the board
I
needs.
mean, the end of August.
The end of August, yes.
And then, so that we would have plenty of time, at least a month, to look at it before our meeting.
Right, because if you start going into September, I don't think you would have enough time.
I don't think we'll be able to get that completed in 3 weeks.
All right, so then what's
so
the
then
next
let's
date?
push it out.
No,
To the next-
and I appreciate that.
No, and I appreciate that you said that, because we don't want to like be
Well, that's why.
Yeah,
when
I
was
don't
looking
want to
at
be in a
the dates, I was like,
position
I
where
don't
I'm
think we
sending a letter
adjourning.
in desperation, adjourning it. So,
Okay.
no, I
So what's
appreciate
the-
So the next one after that would be October 15th.
And
let's
you
see,
need
your
something by
packets- your
middle of
packets will go
September,
on,
probably.
10,
We need at least a
7.
month to review the materials.
again.
Guess we're gonna be.
Do you think you could do that within the middle of September?
I believe so. I'll have to speak to some of our experts on our end to make sure that I can gather all the DEC information. If there's any issue with that, I'll reach out earlier
Okay,
than
we can-
later, so that way we're not
we can
getting to the
schedule.
deadline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can your client also provide information on there used to be sometime in the last 2 years, very large, basically a parking lot, like almost like an asphalt parking lot was built. Many trucks are in there and other vehicles, it seems. Looks like it's maybe 400 by 400 at least square feet. Maybe just explaining how that's accessory to the use of the sand mine
Sure.
Yeah.
and why it was never built until the last year and a half to 2 years.
I think that if you're, I would say that that location had certainly been utilized on and off over time, and again, we can provide additional aerials showing that. And I believe there is also mention to the utilization of that space, particularly in the affidavit from the prior owner. That space was used for staging at one point, at least during, I'll have to go back and look at it because it's now fallen out of my brain, but
also
it's in the affidavit,
And
but it's
since
been
it's
utilized back and forth.
Since it's an open charge in court, also just the new accessory dwelling
Yeah.
that appears to
Oh,
be.
no, that's that's office space, there's not a new door.
You know,
Yeah.
just any information that the board could use on that
Well,
would be.
did I read, am I making this up, that the parking area is used to store cars or something?
Well, there are a lot of photographs of large tractor trailers,
Yeah, I
trucks,
mean, it's like a
other
store-
equipment.
it's become a storage.
It's utilized for the trucks that are bringing material on and off of the site.
But they're not staying there, they're not parking there for like, a time period. I mean, am I making that up, or did I read that somewhere? All right, well, whatever.
That's what you have to
Could be
find.
making it up, but I don't think so. Okay.
So what I think I was able to come up with, tell me if this works, could you do it by September 11th? Because then I can get the paperwork to the board by the middle of September, like the 16th or 17th.
Okay.
And then you'll have until.
And again, if we can't, we'll certainly reach out.
Yeah.
We'll
So
circle up
we're
on this
doing
tomorrow,
10:15.
Yeah, 10:15.
Yeah, I would do subs by
10:15.
9/11, and then, do you want to set that deadline date?
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
set it,
great.
And if we have to, we can always modify it.
Okay, so we'll
But I
try-
would also mention to the community members that that submission date holds for you as well. September 11th, any written comments that you want to submit.
And then hearing 10/15.
And the hearing. All right, so I'm going to move that we hold this over until October 15th. Is there a second?
Second, with a submission date by 9/11.
By 9/11, okay.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald, Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you,
Allison,
Donna.
and thank you,
for your time.
community
Have a good
members.
evening.
Thank you, you too.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you all.
You're welcome very much.
Number 9 on the agenda, application of Jeffrey Howell, 3659 Noyak Road, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-6-1-54. And thank you for a very focused submission.
Yes, that's very good. Where is my?
Thank you for a very focused presentation. Hello.
Hello, all.
Okay, hi.
How are
I've
you?
sworn you both in before.
You have not sworn Jeff in yet.
Oh, all right, Jeff. Are you an attorney? Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and your address.
Jeffrey Howell. I live at 11410 Cypress Terrace Place, San Diego, California, 92131. But the property is here.
Okay, okay. All right, so tell us where we are on this.
All right, so since the last meeting, we went back to the architect, and we worked diligently to reduce the pyramid encroachment. This was done by lowering the ceiling heights on both floors to 8 feet, as well as each gable was, we redesigned from a 12-12 pitch on those to a 10-12 pitch. So this brought the pyramid encroachment on the eastern sky plane to 2,581 square feet and 571 square feet in the western sky
Let me see,
plane.
go through that again.
Yeah.
Eastern?
It's on the-
Eastern, 2,581. That was from 4,490, so a 1,909 square foot reduction. And then on the western sky plane, we're down to 571 square feet, which was originally
Cubic.
cubic feet, thank you for that. 1,000, that was originally 1,390 cubic feet, so an 819 cubic
So
foot
the total
reduction.
then is,
Total reduction,
Total is 3,152.
oh, total for now, got it. I was thinking total reduction, yes. So total
Yeah, sorry,
encroachment.
I'm looking at-
3,152 together, and this reduced our original request by 46.4%.
oh, that was, yeah.
Still too much. Still a lot.
The property, this basically, they have designed to fit within the box that Marty Shea has provided to us. If we were able to move the house back further, the pyramid encroachment would be much less because we would be out of the FEMA zone. And so, given the constraints of the property, this truly is the minimum request.
So-
We looked at every option of how we could reduce it.
Refresh my memory on this. Part of the issue was because the house, Marty had identified
The knoll
the
in the
knoll
back along
as
the
important,
roadside,
and
yes.
therefore the house, he had
Had-
suggested the house be moved,
Shifted towards the water.
right? And also because of the dramatic topography on the lot that contributes to the pyramid variances that you're asking for. Do I have that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
I mean, this is the lot where you took your life in your hands to look at the property. It goes straight down like this. I mean.
It's scary.
I remember.
It is incredibly scary. I mean,
Well,
it's
I
an
mean-
incredibly challenged piece of property. And it's
It is.
modest, a relatively modest home,
Well,
isn't it?
it's almost a cliff.
Oh, it is. It's like a cliff.
Yeah,
It
the
really
house is
is.
very large.
I'm sorry?
Very large.
Well, the
What is
house-
the square footage
no,
on the house,
The house is
roughly?
2,300 square feet.
Yep. 2,360 square foot gross floor area.
Yeah.
Is that size or gross floor?
That's gross floor
Gross.
area,
Yeah.
both floors together.
Right.
I mean,
It's not.
It's
not a large.
It's not, it's relatively speaking in the Hamptons modest,
Yes.
4-bedroom. They've been very thoughtful on the design to include like room for the mechanical space. The bedrooms are not overly large.
Did we get your plans that?
Yep, I submitted these. Did you not?
Are they,
Are they in today's submissions?
Well, I think I
I
have
submitted them
plans.
back in July.
Oh.
I did get them.
Okay.
They're here in my pile.
oh no, but that was the original.
Yeah, right. No, I do appreciate,
The resubmission, right?
Huh?
You got the resubmission?
Yes, I think the one that.
I've got it.
Okay.
Okay.
it's in your pile somewhere. Yeah, and you also got the Conservation Board.
Yep, I submitted the resolution of approval from the Conservation
Right.
Board, so it's in
Right.
your record.
Right, we
um,
got that, we got the,
That we're closer to the water.
right. I think you've made a real yeoman's effort to reduce the pyramid. I think it's an incredibly challenged piece of property. So from my point of view, I
Well, that's,
welcome the fact that you've been so good at trying to be creative.
Yeah, I think the constraints
Are really
sort of
very significant
create a-
constraints. I mean, I'm serious when I say I almost pitched over when I looked down. I mean, it's a crazy piece of property.
I would be hard pressed, but for that stretch of property, to imagine there's any place else in the town that has
Nothing like this.
topography, cliff-like conditions that are that.
And FEMA flood zones.
Oh, it's, and Marty Shea.
It's
I mean, Marty
extremely
Shea,
constrained.
trying to do his job, which then, which
It's a
we like,
balancing act.
we do respect his judgment very much.
Can we be
so.
clear, I'm not prejudging where
Can we,
the
Kevin?
board will go on this, but I would like whatever decision is written on this that expressly notes the exceptionally dramatic topography change
Yeah.
on the lot as a condition that creates this artificial moment where the pyramid relief seems to be large, but it's caused in part by the dramatic topography.
Okay,
I think
Mark, I
it's-
think that would be a fair
And
addition.
that way, we don't have to have it back shoved in our face that
Right,
this
it
was
becomes
granted.
distinguishable.
Right, right.
Will help with precedent for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this, whose was this? Kevin, this is yours, so let's
Oh, I'm
put it up
sorry,
for a
I'm
decision.
falling asleep here. My apologies. So I'm going to make a motion that we close the hearing, accept comments until 8:21 with a decision on 9:3.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Number 10 on the agenda, Sarah Fitzsimons and William Pell, 29 West Neck Circle, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-92-2-34. Hello. Good evening. Hello.
Yes. Nothing like a sand mine.
Yes, been there.
All right, so where are, we've sworn all of you in, so where are we on this application?
Well, I sent the revised plans, what?
Yes.
With the,
We just got them.
yes.
Unfortunately, we just got them today as a submittal. Yeah,
Can you-
so, I mean, we haven't had a chance to look at it, but why don't you just go through what the revised plans cover?
As per our last meeting,
I'm sorry, Susan, did you just, I just need your name again.
sorry, Scott Rose, R-O-S-E.
Okay, got it.
Is your father David Rose?
Yes, John Rose.
Okay, John David Rose, yes, okay.
Depends on what day you ask him. So as per our last meeting together, we discussed adding additional screening around 3 sides of the property and removing 2 of the steps to grade, which we had done. We updated the survey, updated the according drawings as well.
Okay,
Here to answer any other questions.
I had my notes. Where are they?
So the square footage stayed the same?
Yes, the actual building did not change. We just removed the 2 of, essentially,
Steps.
yeah, 2 sets of steps.
Right, and that's what we had talked about at the last meeting,
Right.
so,
And as well as adding screening around the property line as well.
right. Let's see whatever else I got. Minimize staircases, eliminate staircases, landscaping plan.
Refresh my memory, what are we, Square footage is 1,800.
Yeah.
Right? Pyramid relief is 941.
772.52 cubic feet of relief.
Okay.
What is it now?
772.52.
Yeah, it hasn't changed.
Basically, it's just enough so I don't hit my head in the bath.
Okay.
We wouldn't want that.
And was there a property coverage issue as well that we had to deal with?
Yes.
Okay, going from
We're going
20 to, up to
23.8.
23.8.
Yeah.
I don't know, I find that you met the requirements that we asked you to do, and
Yeah.
unless anybody else has a question about it?
No.
I do not.
Is there-
Looks
yes,
good.
Go ahead, we can have a comment.
Oh,
Good evening.
Just state your name.
Nika Strunk for Susan and John Stewart, who live next door to this site at 31 West Neck Circle. We were here before. You listened to me. I'm going to try to be brief and very focused because I know it's been a very long night. The rear yard setback is only, the proposed rear yard setback is only 12.4 feet. This is about a 60% rear yard variance. It is too big. It is too close to the rear yard. It is too small of a rear yard. A 60% rear yard variance is a very, very, very significant variance. And it has a severe impact on my client's adjacent property. It constrains their ability to be private in their property. It is diminishing the value of their property. And this is also connected to the size of the house. The size of the house, I understand, 1,800 square foot house in the town of Southampton is not a big house. But this is an incredibly tiny lot. It is a lot that was purchased by the applicant a couple of years ago with full knowledge of the zoning setbacks. So the hardship is self-created. Now, I understand that that is not in and of itself determinative, but it is a self-created hardship. And I don't think that the applicant has actually articulated a basis for which an 1,800 square foot house is needed. This is a two-bedroom house. You can have a 1,400 square foot two-bedroom house. And I think when you're on the smallest lot in your neighborhood and you need massive variances, it is incumbent upon the applicant to reduce the size of the house so that this board grants the minimum variance necessary. There's been no articulation of why 1,800 square feet is necessary.
Nika, isn't it also, can't you even say on the flip side that the setback required by the zoning code is unreasonable for this property? I mean, that's the other way of looking at it, so it seems to me.
It would be
it's-
impossible to build anything.
To build to the setback.
Yeah.
No, okay.
You're gonna
But
need a variance.
nevertheless, the job is to do the minimum variance required. That is your job, the minimum variance required. Now, look, I didn't zone this lot R80. The town board did. And the applicant purchased with knowledge of that. There's cases, I'm gonna submit you a letter, I'm gonna include those cases. It's a self-created hardship, and there is every reason to deny this variance for that reason alone. You can't just buy a non-conforming lot with a minimal, if any, conforming envelope, and then say, oh, I'm just gonna get my variances and build the house that I want. That's not the way zoning law works. The size is too big, the rear yard setback is not big enough. On the side yard, on my client's side, there is a 7-foot setback to a stairway. What is the purpose of that stairway? There's a front door, stairway, there's a stairway up into the front of the house, and now there's also a stairway right around the corner into the side of the house.
It's a stairway to the backyard. They're not allowed to have a stairway to the backyard?
No, this is to the side yard.
This is,
Oh, the other side. Oh, I see what you're saying.
7-foot
which
setback.
stairways
How
did we?
far back from your client's property line is her house?
My client, you asked me that last time, and
I know, and I forgot.
And I did not have the answer, and now I do. I believe it's
Oh.
14 point something. And, but my client's house has been there since the 1800s. They didn't cite it themselves.
Understood, understood.
It's 14.4 feet, yes. So this has a massive impact on my client's property. And I don't think you've had I haven't seen any effort to make the house appropriate to the size of the lot. I gave Candace already 3 of these, and I'll just pass the rest of you. May I pass this down to you? We had done some calculations of the sizes of the house. This is a discrete neighborhood. It's really, it is, sometimes you're not clear where the neighborhood is. We know what this neighborhood is. It has a few houses here. We did an analysis of
This is going to be the smallest house in the neighborhood.
no, it's not. No.
One of.
There's a 538 square foot house next to it. My client's house is 896 square feet. There's a 1,000 square foot house. There's a lot of small houses, and 1,065 square foot, 1,172 square foot, 1,148 square feet, 672 square feet, 1,169 square feet. You get the picture. There's a lot of very small houses in this neighborhood. If you do a calculation of lot size versus square footage, there's something here that says lot coverage, that's not exactly right. It's like the square footage of the house compared to the lot size. This is the largest in the entire neighborhood, this proposed house.
Nika, can I just ask you again?
Yes.
The stair, a few moments ago, you mentioned a staircase that you were objecting to on the side still?
Yes.
What is the lot coverage again? 23.8 or almost 24?
23.8.
Is it, so can you just show me on the survey which?
I think it's this. I think it's the one that you,
I'm pointing.
is it by Stewart?
Yes, my clients are Stewart, it's on
Okay, so
our
it's this
side.
proposed entry in the back?
It says proposed entry on the side.
Side.
And we had 2 staircases, a total of 3, which we removed 2 of them.
Right. And the reason for keeping this?
It goes into the house by the kitchen.
So there's a deck that shows here that goes up against the back sort of hypotenuse piece of the property. That's the part you're talking about with us.
No, it's here.
I mean, I also only saw the revised plans today. I thought there had been a deadline to submit in advance of this hearing that was not observed. But,
Here.
for lack of a better way to show you,
I
I'm
showed.
talking about this.
Oh, right, okay.
I mean, it's unnecessary. And it's 7 feet from my client's property line. The entire house,
What about the landscape plan? Is that helpful?
I don't even know what the proposed shrubs are. Again, I saw it for the first time today. I don't know the height, I don't know anything about
Do you
it.
have any information about that? The landscape
We
plan?
have not discussed exact plant species at this time, but we did discuss that it is a year-round vegetation.
Be green.
Like a green giant, arborvitae.
Because I live across the street, so whatever I plant, I'm gonna look at.
Yes.
And it's, I'm not gonna do something where it's not gonna be nice for the neighborhood. And this is not, if you look at here, the house right in front of John Stewart's house is actually, it's 100 square foot bigger than me, and the lot is smaller. She's not being very truthful in the neighborhood. She's stretching her story about the
All right,
neighborhood.
well, okay, she's making a point. What, do you address the point about the 1,800 square feet?
Excuse me?
I mean, the 1,800 square feet and the justification for,
It's 2 bedrooms, one upstairs, then downstairs is a, open floor plan and a small office or den.
okay, so it's, okay.
I mean, I have a wash and dry upstairs and wash and dry downstairs. I can get rid of one that washes and dries upstairs, but when you're old,
Are you talking about yourself?
Yeah.
No. Please,
I'm getting there.
give me a break.
Plus, my wife doesn't want to wash my dirty clothes with her clothes.
All right, well, let's not get too personal. Okay.
I mean, may I just say also, the applicant has the largest house in the neighborhood right across the street, so what is?
All right, Ninka, you've made your point.
Okay.
And thank you very much. And you can certainly take a look at the plans and the revisions and, make a written submission to us.
Yes, I will.
About that.
Yes, I
And
will.
We will definitely give it consideration.
I know that my client, Susan Stewart, would like to speak to the board also.
Okay, yes, Susan, please come up. I think I swore you in, didn't I?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Here, let me just get this out. Can you just pass these down?
Sure.
Did you give some to Candace?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, Susan, are you an attorney? Okay, let me swear you out. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and address.
Susan Stewart, S-T-U-A-R-T, 31 West Neck Circle, Southampton. So, members of the zoning board, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Susan Stewart, and I proudly own the home at 31 West Neck Circle with my husband, John Stewart, for 31 years, since 1995. It's an original Halsey house built in 1898. I want to begin by saying this application is not simply about one property owner's desire to build a larger home. It's about whether the requested variants are appropriate for this parcel and whether the impacts of those variants are being unfairly transferred onto the adjoining property owner. The applicant has attempted to portray himself as a party being harmed by the existing zoning requirements. However, from our perspective, the opposite is true. The applicant is asking for extensive relief from regulations that exist to protect neighboring properties, preserve neighborhood character, and maintain a reasonable balance between individual property rights and the rights of those directly affected. This is the smallest parcel in the area, yet the applicant is proposing the greatest intensity of development relative to a lot size. The proposed project would create the largest home-to-lot ratio in the neighborhood. This is not a situation where a reasonable home cannot be built on the property. Even a 1,400-square-foot home would require significant variances. Instead of designing a project that respects the limitations of this lot, the applicant has chosen a substantially larger structure with additional mass, multiple stairways, and extensive decking that further increases the impact of the adjoining property. The variance that concerns us most is a requested relief from the rear setback requirement. The rear setback exists for an important reason: to preserve separation between properties and protect the neighboring property owner's reasonable enjoyment of their home. The proposed structure would significantly diminish our rights to light, air, privacy, and views. It would change the character of our property and reduce the value and enjoyment of our home. These impacts are not minor. They are the direct result of design choices made to maximize the size and scope of this project on a very constrained parcel. Despite that acknowledgement, these issues have not been adequately resolved. Increasing the size of the structure, increasing impervious surfaces, and changing the drainage patterns could worsen conditions on our property. The applicant is also a town council member. That makes it especially important that this process be viewed by the public as completely transparent and that the same standards, scrutiny, and requirements applied to every property owner be applied here. Confidence in our local government depends on the public knowing that zoning decisions are made based on the regulations and the facts, not the identity of the applicant. A variance should not be granted simply because the applicant's preferred design cannot fit within the existing zoning requirements. A hardship created by the size, design, and scope of a proposed project should not become a hardship imposed on the adjoining property owner. Complying with existing requirements is truly considered such a hardship. We respectfully ask the board to consider the full impact of this proposal, not only what the applicant wants to build, but also the permanent consequences for the property immediately affected by it. The purpose of zoning is to balance individual property rights with the rights of those directly impacted. We ask the board to preserve that balance and require a project that is appropriate for this lot. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you. The property line that you're talking about that affects you is not the rear property line, correct? It's the side.
It's everything, it's the front and it's the side. The side is very close and the setback.
Sorry, Susan, just come
no,
back up,
oh,
we're
sorry, I
gonna,
have to
yeah, we're
go
not gonna
back.
hear you,
Okay.
thank you.
So the west is too short, and the side on our house is too short, 7 feet. That's rear and side. Rear and side.
Okay. So I notice on your revised submission, which I'm trying to find, that you did not take away that entry on that side.
We did. There was another one there that led to.
There were two of them there, but you
Yeah.
took away one,
So-
but they still left the one.
I
We
mean,
left that one, but then we removed the one off the rear yard as well.
I know,
And-
but you did
and
not
what-
remove that.
I mean, the distance walking between the front door and the deck in the back, do you really need that?
We did that because this is the kitchen, just in case you ever have a fire, anything like that. If I want to go outside, if I come home,
Cleaning fish outside.
Cleaning
going
fish.
Right into the kitchen.
Go right
I know, but that's,
I mean,
cleaning fish, I don't know,
this is,
I'm not
yeah.
cleaning fish at home, but if I
I
come
know,
home,
but I mean-
dirty, I don't want to.
Okay, I mean, that's not necessarily a reason to grant a variance, cleaning fish, I'm sorry, but,
this is the second smallest lot I've ever seen in the
yeah,
town.
it's very small.
There's one up in the corner too, with a house.
Yeah.
The house over here, right in front of us is small.
Yeah.
Can I say one
Well,
other thing?
that doesn't mean they don't exist, but that has come
I know,
here.
yeah.
Right.
So this was an original Halsey piece of land, because I know the whole history, okay, when I bought it. And I just know it. So the land was divided very crazy. So our house was built in 1898, and it was the original house on the lot. And then they divided it, and they built 2 more houses, and they kept that sliver. So it's when we bought the house, we were even told it wasn't buildable. We asked before we bought our house. So it's tiny. There's nothing smaller in the neighborhood than this lot.
Yeah, and can I just say also that 15 must be West Neck Road, which I think Mr. Pell is referring to, is .17 acres. His property is .11 acre. I mean, that's like 40% bigger, that other lot.
Is there any, would you consider compromising on size?
No,
Okay,
because that's basically what we need to live there. And for safety, I would like to have that set of stairs. We took one away.
We kind of did what the board asked us to do. And every
Yeah.
time we have them
And-
redrawn, it costs a lot of
And
money.
I feel that if I do something
kind of
else.
circled that on I was looking at my original, and I had circled that as one of the ones that we were gonna get rid
The
of.
second stairway was attached to a mechanical room.
Yes,
And
we took that away.
that was what we said would be taken
As well
away.
as the rear one off that deck.
I mean,
because
As
we
well
didn't
as the
need-
rear one.
We didn't need 2 off that rear deck.
This, like when we built the other house, we could never make this.
Yeah.
We cannot, I know I cannot make all the neighbors happy.
Right, but I remember specifically that all we discussed was the stairway to the mechanical room.
Correct. And I was gonna put a.
Okay,
What's
as
the-
opposed to,
what's
there's
the width of
another
the
stairway
staircase?
there that goes to the kitchen.
Right,
It's in
and we
the
were like,
same
why do we
location.
need 2? Just get rid of one.
Okay,
That was the
okay.
whole.
That's maybe
That's
why I
That's the
circled.
direction that we gave as the board.
All right,
You want to say that?
do you want to say something, Helen?
Oh, Kevin was saying.
I'm asking for the width of the staircase. It looks like it's like 5 or 6 feet.
4 feet,
4 feet? Okay,
Okay.
which by the time you add the railing,
okay.
reduces it more.
Okay, I think we've gone as far as we can go. It sounds like there's not going to be any further compromise on the part of the applicants. I mean, I think the neighbor has made her points, and they're good points, and I think that we're going to have to give this some consideration.
Thank you.
You know, we just got this today, so as she said, she hasn't had a chance, you haven't had a chance to look at it, we haven't had a chance to look at it, so we're gonna take that chance. The question is, do we close this for a decision? What's the board's feeling on this?
And the other thing I would just say to the Pells is, I mean, we often encourage people to, and maybe you have already spoken to Nika and Ms. Stewart, I don't know. But if there is more room for discussion that might ease some of the consternation.
We tried over the years to discuss stuff with them, and it's very difficult.
Okay, well,
I've been,
Never discussed this with us. Never.
Just something to think about.
and also, maybe a little bit of clarification in terms of what kind of landscaping plants you were considering, the height, you know, the,
green giant, something that's not.
all right, well, yeah, but
Yeah.
in writing.
Okay, sure.
And then we'll take any comments that you want to make in writing as well. But I think we've come to the point where we're just going to have to make a decision on this one way or the other.
Right, and, you know, I honestly think that we have to take into consideration the fact that if they were to build to the setbacks that are required here, a 23.95 foot setback on the rear and 80 feet on the, you would have a house for a stick figure. You would not be, and that would make, if we were to stick to the zoning code, that would make this lot unbuildable. Nika, we're not taking any more commentary.
No more
We're
comment. You
not
can put
taking
it
any
in
more
writing
commentary.
if you
That
want.
that would render this lot unbuildable.
I agree.
And I think we have to be very considerate of that, and I honestly don't think that
And
an
we have
18
done that in the past, but we
Yes.
have considered the fact that that you would end up with a sliver, like a
Yeah, exactly.
sliver house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've discussed that in the past. Okay, I think we're gonna move along on this, and we're gonna set it up
Close it.
for a decision. Whose is this? This is mine. Okay. All right. So we're gonna close the public hearing, leave it open for written comments until, August 21st with a decision on September 3rd. But
Second.
if you can get in some more information, put your comments in.
On the plantings,
On the plantings, yes, okay.
like, you know, a couple of different types of trees, you know.
Sure. Come up with something. All right, there was a second, let's vote on
I
this.
seconded.
All right, Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes
Good
aye.
evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to let you know, your father is my architect.
Oh, wow.
What'd you say, Susan?
His father was my architect. All right, but that didn't
Take
influence
care.
me on anything, trust me.
Of course not.
All right. Okay, so now we have some decisions, and we've got a lot of them.
Of course
This is one
we
of our
do.
longest, thank you, Susan.
Okay, I start off. I have a decision in the application of LI LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-314-3-1. This application is for property located at 38 Fox Hollow Drive, East Quogue. Applicant seeks a variance to legalize the conversion of an existing tennis court into a pickleball court. While this board does not condone construction done without permits, it does find that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-76N3 and 4, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts for a rear yard setback from 50 feet to 45.5 feet to legalize the conversion of a tennis court into a pickleball court as shown on the survey prepared by Michael K. Wicks, LS, last revised October 1, 2025. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, I have an application of Beatrice Noxtern Kaplan, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-51-2-54. This application is for property located at 58 Hampton Court, Bridgehampton. Applicant seeks a variance to legalize the location of a pool that was constructed in the wrong location due to a surveyor error. While this board does not condone construction done inconsistent with the building code, permit, it does find that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code to legalize the location of a pool. Section 330-6 General Regulations that references Section 330-11 Resident Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory side yard setback of 5.9 feet where 10 feet is required, as shown on this survey prepared by John F. Barilski, L.S., last revised July 21st, 2026. Grant of the foregoing is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the premises, including, 1, removal of the wire fencing as shown on the aforementioned survey, and 2, the continuance of maintenance by the applicant and all successors and interests of the row of arborvitae's shown on the aforementioned survey.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Kevin, this is the next one. Here.
Okay. Robert and Stacy Suffolk, right, okay. I'm going to make a motion to approve the application of Robert and Stacy Selkin, Suffolk County, tax map number 900-356-1-8.4. This application is for the property located at 8 Hidden Pond Lane, West Hampton. Applicant seeks variances to legalize a sports court built without permits where the setback variances requested are from property also owned and controlled by the applicants. While this board does not condone construction done without permits, it does find that the applicant passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the code to legalize a sports court constructed without the benefit of a building permit. Section 330-6, General Dimensions and Regulations, that references Section 330-11, Residence District Table of Dimensional Regulations, for an accessory side yard setback of 3.7 feet where 20 feet is required, and Section 330-76D, placement of an accessory structure and structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83-C yards to allow the sports court to remain within the required side yard for the principal building as shown on the survey prepared by Howard W. Young, licensed surveyor, last revised July 9, 2025. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to other conditions and permits as applicants have already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including sports court shall not be used for pickleball. 1, the sports court shall not be used for pickleball. 2, the removal of the court within 6 months of the cessation of common ownership controlled of the premises and adjacent parcel, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-356-1-10.1. And 3, the notation of these conditions in their certificate issued by the building department for the sports court.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Bill, you're next.
Yes, I have a motion in the matter of Thomas Zabrowski, Suffolk County Town Map 900-131-3-36.2. This application is for property located at 107 Majors Path, North Sea. Applicant seeks a modest variance for a pyramid encroachment for a proposed second-story dormer addition to a pre-existing dwelling. The board finds that this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-84D, Pyramid Law, for a north sky plane encroachment of 8.93 cubic feet and a south sky plane encroachment of 8.93 cubic feet for a proposed second-story dormer to an addition to an existing dwelling as shown in the survey, and pyramid analysis prepared by Robert H. Smith of Squires Holden, Weissenbach, and Smith, last revised March 6, 2026. The floor plans prepared by William John Steinbrecher III, last dated April 1, 2026, and the elevations pyramid diagrams prepared by Matthew Charles Bush, R.A., last revised April 27, 2026. Grant of the foregoing is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, John, you're next.
Okay, I have a decision in the application of the State of John J. Brown, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-258-2-35. This application is for property located at 62 Shore Road, Hampton Bays. Applicant seeks a single and separate determination for a non-conforming lot. After reviewing the testimony and evidence presented, this board finds that the subject premises, that is Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-258-2-35, is held in single and separate ownership from all adjacent parcels and thus entitled to relief pursuant to Section 330-115D. Grant of the foregoing is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I have a decision in the matter of Clover House LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-3-1-18.1. This application is for property located at 29 Peconic Avenue, Noyak. Applicant appeals both, one, a stop work order issued for the construction of a dock without a town building permit and/or wetlands permit, as well as, two, the zoning boundary line of the subject premises. Under this set of facts, this board finds that it does not have jurisdiction to review the requested determinations.
Second.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Julie?
The second on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
84 Scotts Landing Road, in the matter of 84 Scotts Landing Road LLC, Suffolk County Town Map 900-43-1-23. This application is for property located at 84 Scotts Landing Road, North Sea. Applicant seeks relief to construct a new dwelling and detached garage on a non-conforming lot located in a newly shaded flood zone. In response to concerns from the board, the plans for the proposed dwelling were revised, and as modified, the board finds that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State town law and the town code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the town code. One, for a proposed one-family dwelling, section 330-84D, pyramid height for a total sky plan encroachment of 810 cubic feet, 640 cubic feet to the north, plus 170.2 cubic feet to the south. Two, for a proposed detached garage, little I, section 330-6, general regulations that references section 330-11, residence districts, tables of dimensional regulations for an accessory side yard setback from 10 feet to 2.7 feet, and double little I, section 330-5, definitions, lot line, front subsection B3, for an accessory rear yard setback from 20 feet to 11 feet, and triple little I, section 330-84D, stop you guys. For a south sky plan encroachment of 770 cubic feet, all as shown on the survey prepared by John F. Barliski, L.S., last dated July 15, 2026, and the floor plans for the proposed dwelling dated June 19, 2026. Elevation pyramid diagrams for the proposed dwelling dated June 18, 2026, and floor plan and elevation pyramid diagrams for the proposed detached garage dated June 19, 2026, all prepared by John Himmelsbach, R.A. Grant of the foregoing is subject to such conditions and permits as the applicant has acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, John, last one.
Now, we've got Is that the last? Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, my God. I have a decision in Family First Estate LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-84-1-32.10. This application is for property located at 27 West Pond Drive, Bridgehampton. Applicant requests relief to legalize the construction of a spa, cold tub, deck, and pool equipment that essentially serve an adjacent lot that is under common ownership control of the subject premises. While this board does not condone construction done without permits, it does find that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a spa, cold tub, and deck. 1. Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory rear yard setback of 10 feet where 20 feet is required. And 2. Section 330-77G, Placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts to allow the pool equipment to be 4.5 feet from the side lot line where 10 feet is required, as shown on the survey prepared by Robert A. Smith of Squires, Holden, Weisenbacher, and Smith, LS, last revised on November 14, 2025. This decision is conditioned upon common ownership control of the subject premises and the adjacent parcel located at 23 West Pond Drive, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-84-1-32.23, and shall be noted in the certificates issued by the Building Department. Should common ownership control of these lots cease, the spa, cold tub, deck, and pool equipment must be removed from the premises within 6 months of the sale, or the owner of the premises must obtain a building permit for a principal building or structure within 6 months. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including ensuring that all fencing on the premises complies with the town code prior to the issuance of any certificates.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Motion to close.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?